We're on.
We're on.
Thanks for jumping on, man.
Anytime, brother. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure.
You've been on my list for like, I don't even know, probably 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, ages, man. Like I just haven't had the opportunity to get down here. No, I have had that's a lie. It's just an excuse to come down and do a run of people down here because I haven't really stepped foot. I know a lot of people in this, like in the southern part of Australia, like the cod fishermen and all of that sort of stuff that I haven't had the opportunity to sit down and talk to. Yeah. But now, like, I've committed to doing these video podcasts and making a bit more of an effort. Like, I have the ability to really like jam a few now, which is going to be really, really good. And we've done a whole podcast off air. Yeah,
man, we talk a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know. It's just you meet people and you gel, and I think when you've got the same views and attributes and strengths, and you just start talking and things kick off pretty easy. So, I think we first met in person at the Mansfield Fishing Hunting Expo.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, which was good to catch up and obviously meet face to face. So it's good to see you doing what you're doing, man. It's growing quite rapidly.
Yeah, it was good. It would have been good to sit down and talk some more there, but I was busting ass. You were hauling us. It was busy, man. It was a huge weekend. Yeah. Actually, you started talking about it just now, and I'm keen because I only just learnt this myself, is like you were a osteo or a physio in a past life, which I find super interesting.
Interesting thing there, man, is, so I've got to predict how I got there anyway, is interesting. So I'll start all the way back there. So when I'm from a young age, man, I've always been quite an active guy, active kid. And I got into soccer at an early age. So I became quite athletic where, if it wasn't cross country, if it wasn't sprinting, if it wasn't hurdles, if it wasn't soccer, or even I did a little bit of footy, but majority of soccer. That took me through, a club level, at local level. And then from there, when I was 14, that's when my life sort of changed a lot. And when it changed a lot at that point in time, it was about 13, 14, I'd say 14, yeah. I was pretty serious. Like at that point in time, I was travelling to Melbourne probably twice a week to train for a club called Green Gully Soccer Club, which is pretty big at the National Premier League level. And I was going up and back. My old man was taking me twice a week to train. So that was a 2-hour drive up and 4 hours actually, 2 hours up, 2 hours back. So I'd do that twice a week, man, 8 hours. And then on a game on a Saturday. So I would do that for a whole season. And then that got me a look into the Victorian Institute of Sport. So the Victorian Institute of Sport, which I'm not sure is still around for soccer now, but at the time was quite prestigious. Like it was quite, if you're in there, you're really professional, you're a really good athlete. We shared a space back then with the Collingwood Football Club. So that was pretty cool and pretty good experience. But how I got there was doing that year in Melbourne through soccer, and then got a phone call from a guy named Ian Greener at the time, who was in charge of the VIS for the soccer department. And I did a few trials in that department, and I got to the point where I knew they were interested, but I didn't know how serious because I was 2 hours away. So for them to make an investment in me, that means my life is going to change forever, man. No more traveling. Like I got to move to Melbourne.
Oh, you would have to, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm only 14 at this point, man. So anyway, I remember it was like a Sunday night, and I was sitting around the kitchen table with my old man and my old lady, and we were having dinner. And get a phone call, and they left it right to the last minute. Like school started, this would have been in February, man, and school kicked off probably end of February. And he's like, yeah, you got a contract. And my old man's like, yep, sweet, great, thank you very much, blah, 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 hangs the phone up. And he looks at me and he's like, Monday you're moving to Melbourne. I was like 14 at the time. I'm like, far out, like this is, don't know how to feel, like you're moving away from home, 14 years old, you let alone know how to use a dishwasher, a washing machine, cook anything, you know what I mean? So anyway, we turned around, we found a place relatively quickly, and we found a place that we started leasing, but then eventually my old man ended up buying it later on. But I remember that, moving in, making this big change, went from having school in Shepparton to then moving to Melbourne. So I finished at 14 years of age in school, went to a completely different school in Melbourne, and my mates thought I was rocking back up to school in Shep. They didn't even know I was gone because it happened so quick and turned around. So anyway, moved to Melbourne and moved in, with a housemate that also had a contract as well, and he was from Mildura. So his move
T14 too?
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yeah, 2 14-year-olds. Probably illegal, to be honest. So we had to find a guardian that would live with us. And we found a good friend of ours that was sort of in that soccer industry that was probably in his 30s. And he was willing to do it. So anyway, he moved in with us. And this guy was just like super disciplined, man. And I never forget, it would have been the first day of school. Got no fucking idea anyone that goes to this school. And by the way, it was like a rough school. Public, multicultural, it's a very, very tough school. So I remember the first day, he's like, fucking, if you're not ready by 7:30 a.m., you can walk to school. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm in the bathroom, it's like 7:25, I'm doing my hair. Man, the garage door was open and he was reversing, and by the time I even done my hair and got downstairs, he took off. So I had to walk to school. And I'm 14 at the time. So get to school, trying to gel in and get to know people. And it was interesting because at this point in time, I didn't know how to take adversity. I would just take it as it being normal. So I'd walk through the corridor and, there's kids there that are, African, Italian, Greek, Aussie, you name it. And here I am, this kid from Shepparton walking down the hallway, has got no friends, sitting there by myself, blah, blah, blah. And that grew on me. And then eventually I made friends and got where I needed to be. And the interesting thing from there was just continually stuck at what I was doing. Ended up making, before I made Melbourne Victory, I spent 6 months at the Australian Institute of Sport. So I went there. I spent about 6 months there. That was pretty frightening at the time. When I say frightening, it was in Canberra. And when I was in Canberra there, I spent a bit of time there training, testing, dieting, all that type of stuff, doing a lot of testing and everything. And there was an opportunity to get a contract there. And I'll be honest, I got homesick. I would have been 17 at the time. 16 probably. So I then decided to come back to Melbourne. That was I think the hardest thing with that compared to today's kids is they don't have to go down that route, whereas we only had that choice to go down that route. Whereas I look at today's kids with social media and everything, like you can show how good you are on Instagram and people can send you a message and say, come and trial here, come and trial there. Whereas back then, it was like you had to go down that route, and that was hard because at 14 I went from Shepparton to Melbourne, then to Canberra at 16. Then it was just a lot for me. So anyway, came back to Melbourne, got 1 year contract at Melbourne Victory, which is in the A-League, and that was a change as well because now I'm in a really professional environment. And then like that, spent 12 months, 1.5 years there. The hard word comes out that you might not get a contract. I could have kept chasing my dream to become a professional soccer player, but I decided at that point in time that I need to make a change, and that change would be if I don't start studying to become something, where am I going to end up? Because I can keep chasing that dream and get dropped like a hat and be 30 years old and not have much to my name. So I made the choice to go into osteo. So when I went down that pathway, this was another big challenge for me because I went from being completely athletic to not giving a fuck about school. Put it this way, man, I used to leave school at 2 o'clock to go and train. So, learning for me was just straight over my head. It was all physical. It was all, training. So I then had to switch my game and say, well, fuck, I've got to adapt now. It's not about how fit I am, how strong I am, how much I can run. I've got to adapt to learning how to read properly, how to learn how to do all this stuff. So I did a bridging course at Victoria University. To put it blank, this is like where your dumb shits go before they go into university. So I did that for 12 months. And then from there, I went to, I did that 12 months. And when you sat down and done that course, they'd go, Wade, where do you want to end up in 12 months? And you'd say, I want to end up doing engineering. I want to end up doing PE teacher, whatever it is, right? And I said, I want to become an osteo. And they sort of laughed and were like, fuck, that enter score is like 92. And I'm like, that's what this bridging course is for. And they're like, all right, no worries. So before the course even started, we went and had a meeting with the head people there with osteo at Victoria University, like the deputy scholars and all that type of stuff. And there was about 2 of us or 3 of us that wanted to do the course, and they laughed at us. They were just like, yeah, keep fucking dreaming. Like, we take Melbourne Grammar, we take all these high-end kids that do, come from private schools. And I was like, nah, fuck this. Like, I'm going to get into this course. And I wasn't going to take no for an answer. So I busted my ass off for 12 months and finished the course. And I'll never forget, the girl in charge there didn't want to see me get in because I literally came from a nothing, right? Ended up getting in. And this course was brutal, man. This course was like 3-year bachelor, 2 years masters. And the 3-year bachelor part of it was that brutal that they believed that there was a start of, say, 150 people in the course. And they always said, you'll start with 150. And by the time you get to your masters, there'll be a third of you guys left. And they were right. So many people just dropped out because it just fucking weeded out people. And how did it weed people out was, you didn't have 3 exams in one semester, man. You had 12. Like, I remember one year I had strategically planned that I had 2 weeks in exam period. I got 12 exams in 2 weeks. I've got to sacrifice 1 or 2 exams here. What do you mean? I've just got to aim for 50, 55, get a plus, and I've got to nail the other ones because I simply can't nail them all. It's just too hard. Like, some days you had 2 exams. So done all that, made it through my masters, and then fully qualified to become an osteo. And then from there, I went back to Shep. So I've done this full loop, went from Shep to Melbourne, Canberra, come back to Melbourne, got a degree, and then come back to Shep. So
holy shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Do you think that your ability to stick through, because that's a massive change. One, it's a massive change to do what you did at 14 to go and do, chase a career in professional sport, but then to flip that and go straight and chase a professional career in academics, essentially. And like any medicine-based degree is like a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that your ability to like flip and do that 180 and still put your head down, ass up and get it done had to do like with the sport, the choice in the sporting career that you had, like your physical discipline and all that sort of stuff played into the mental?
100%, man. Like, I'll never forget, we'd go away on an away game, you'd lose 2-0, you'd come back, and you knew fucking Monday, Tuesday's training was just running. So mentally, you had to prepare yourself that you were going to get fucking slaughtered, take it or leave it. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to come in and have a good day today. You can't control the environment. It's like life. It's life in general. You can't control the environment. We rocked up. The head coach tells you what to do. Take it or leave it. You can be a bitch and say, no, I'm not going to run. Well, this environment's not for you. You have to adapt. And to your point, that adaptation of not accepting anything less of this is where the bar is, you got to adapt and you got to make do.
It's pretty incredible to do that at your age too. Like, and do you think that I think that a lot of people in life, they pull out right before they find their potential?
100%.
And I think that's like 75 to 90% of humans.
100%.
I think everyone's got what you like, grit and determination and discipline in them, but it's just their ability to grab it and actually commit to doing it.
Yeah.
To putting the work in.
I'll throw another spanner in the works there. 2016, I lost my brother to bowel cancer. So he passed away. He would have been, I think, 26 years of age at the time, so very young. That was my older brother. 2016 was my final year at uni. And going back to your point about mental capacity, I went from burying my brother at the start of the year, which was March, to 2 weeks. No, sorry. Yeah, uni had already started. So I missed, or probably just starting. I went back to uni probably a week or 2 later. I had full-on professors saying to me, are you okay to be here? And that just went straight over my head. I'm like, yeah, what's wrong? No, are you okay? And I'm fine. Like, I just said, let's just keep going. Let's punch through it. So I did a whole year after I buried my brother. I did a whole year in Melbourne away from my family, not knowing how my 2 younger brothers were dealing or how my mum and dad were dealing. at the time, I'm grateful that who is my wife now, my girlfriend at the time, so she was there with me. So we rode that storm together. But that 12 months in Melbourne was tough. But to your point, it's just mentality, man. At the end of the day, what a lot of people don't understand is that no matter what happens in life, you got to keep moving forward. And if you're not prepared to move forward, you know, you'll get left behind. Life will swallow you up.
And a lot of the times, it's like the decisions that you got to make are usually always harder than either doing nothing or taking like the easier route, but they hurt you in the long term if you're not willing to do the hard right now.
Correct.
Like I know, and just adding on to your point about a family member dying, I committed to doing flow state, all this video stuff in like 2017, like properly. My whole man was my biggest fan, my best mate, like an older version of me basically, and or I'm a younger version of him, I suppose. End of 2019, he passed away. Actually, I'll tell you, I may as well tell the story because we're going pretty deep with this stuff. It's good. Yeah. So I was in Darwin at the time. I got a job back in Townsville. Yeah. And it was a pretty high level executive role for my age, like youngest in the country. Got back to Townsville the day I got back, flew back to Townsville, made a phone call to my oldies because I knew that they were on holidays together. Gave them a call to see, just to let them know the good news and all this sort of stuff. Yeah. No call back. Called 3 or 4 more times. No call back. My mum rings me back, tells me she's in the ambulance. My dad's had a heart attack. The last time I spoke to him was about 2 weeks before it. We had half a Barney, and like we were okay, but like not. Like we had half an argument, and then sort of hung up. So that fucking dropped me on my ass. Yeah. And I was in the middle of moving shit all over. The business was starting to fire up. Like I was crazy busy.
You're hammering.
Yeah. And I had a choice to make, which was like stop everything, stop the momentum, and then try and pick it up later, which in reality probably wouldn't have happened. Correct. Or get on with it and do what is necessary. Didn't feel good, felt awful for a long time. Yeah. And I still like acknowledge the fact that it's given me a lot of traumas with like emotional attachment to things. Yeah. And it's toughened me, but toughened me to the point of others' detriment. Yep. Where I just don't have an emotional attachment to, like a deeper emotional attachment to things I probably should have, relationships being one of them.
Yeah, but like this is how I look at it, man, right? When my brother got diagnosed, so he passed away in March 2016. So let's cut it back. So he probably got diagnosed probably 12 months, probably a little bit more longer than that before.
Sorry, man. Kyle just fucking fell ass overhead. Sorry, bro.
Nah, that's all right.
I tried to hold it in. I
could hear something. I thought it was a door. What did you fall on?
No, it was the TV remote.
Oh. Sorry, so he got diagnosed probably, let's just work on a year and a bit, right? So I remember when he went into hospital, and it was around this time of the year, actually. It was actually around January, and he was complaining of pain that he had up in his abdomen. Anyway, he gets diagnosed, and I remember the doctor walking in and saying, listen, fucking thinking it was this, from nothing to obviously the worst thing possible. And I just remember, I remember it clear as day, being in the room and hearing that. And from that day onwards, people's like, you talk about grieving, right? What the fuck does grieving mean? Think about it, right? This is me. This is my mindset, and people might think differently. It doesn't get better. It doesn't get easier, right? What happens is that you have to learn to adapt. If you don't want to learn to adapt, that's when the likes of depression, anxiety, these things that will kill you, they'll absolutely destroy you, right? You can't allow that stuff to be. You can have a bad day. Everyone deserves to have a bad day. But what are you going to do to stop that stuff from happening every day? That's what I had to ask myself. The worst part about that, reflecting back on it, was given my medical knowledge, I knew that he wasn't going to survive. And it wasn't because I didn't have the will or I didn't believe anything. It's just purely because of medically what was going on. That was the hardest for me to digest, because the people around me, and don't confuse this with I'd given up. It was just purely that when something is so stage-based and it was at its worst, you just have to set yourself with reality. So I spent that 12 months going through it and spending time with him that we actually took it to the point where I flew him to Germany. Me and my family flew him to Germany to get treatment. And a lot of traumatic experiences that happened on that trip as well. But, you know, to my point, what's grieving?
It is too. And like, I think I'm relatively blessed in a way that my old man just dropped dead, because I didn't have to, like, essentially what you did was watch a dead man die.
Correct.
For 12 months.
Yeah.
And that's brutal, man.
And being your brother.
And then grieve after he dies, or whatever you want to call it. Like, deal with that after he dies, right?
Yeah.
At least, like, I didn't have to do all of that prior to that point. So, like, I respect that, because I've had people in my family and friends and stuff die of terminal illnesses, and it's way worse.
Yeah.
Because you know that person is not going to be here much longer.
Correct. And how do you justify spending time? Like, I spent that much time with him, and I'm grateful I did. And, you know, like, you do as much as you can do. And what drives me every day, man, like, two big game changers for me is my mental toughness comes from, you know, being able to accept what's happened has happened. You can't change it. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, you know, you got to understand that not everybody's dealt the same cards in life. The cards you're dealt with are different to the ones I'm dealt with. I could have started with aces, but fuck, now he's given me 2s and 1s, or 2s and 3s that are worth nothing. But I'll keep playing them cards, man. And then I'm sure I'm going to get a good set of cards eventually. You know what I mean?
It's and you keep, by having that mindset, you open yourself up to the opportunity of getting higher cards, right?
Correct.
The moment you go, oh, my dad died, I wish I never had that fight with him, and I pick up all the bad times and I feel shit all the time. That's fine. But like, what I did was focus on all the fishing trips that we did, all the insane fucking missions.
100%.
He used to go harder than some of my friends with missions that we used to do up in the territory and all that sort of stuff. And he was like 60 years old almost.
And you can build off that.
100%.
You know what I mean? When you attack something, and it could be flow state, could be what your job is, it could be what you're doing, man, you're going to hit it 100%. You're not going to hit it at 50, 59, 99. You're going to hit it at 100. Yeah. Because that's how your old man, that's how his genes were.
And then I look at him and I'm like, well, fuck, I could drop dead at 59.
100%.
So why am I wasting time?
Correct. Yeah.
And I got to the point where I probably took it a little bit too far, where like I've created like a monster within myself. Whereas like if I sit down for 5 minutes, I feel guilty for sitting down, like and having a break.
Yeah.
So I get to a point where I'll just go fucking insanely ham for a point, and then I'll just burn out for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think like it's probably detrimental to your health long term.
Yeah.
But like if I go and I'll only do 8 hours of work.
Yeah.
And then I'll have my mornings and my evenings and blah, blah, blah. I can't do that anymore because I've crueled myself. I'm like, no.
You're always chasing
I'll
work,
stop
man.
when I'm ready to stop.
Yeah.
And then that never comes until to a point where I'm like fully physically and emotionally and mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
To the point where I couldn't even write my own name.
Yeah.
Then I'll rest.
Yeah. And you'll leave that mark in your life, whether it be if you know, family, kids, you know, friends. When your time's gone, it's what David Goggins says. What do you want to be remembered for? That's how you have to ask yourself, you know. And I just literally read his books, and they've been a game changer for me, man. Like, I dive deeper now into a whole different mental capacity. Like, I do, you know, shit now where I've never been a big runner, but I can understand why people push to running. There's something with running, man, where you get to a point where it might be 5K, 10K, 15K, whatever, how fit you are, where you know you're nearly there, like as in, oh, I'm running home and you're at the 10K mark, 15K mark. You know you got to push another 3Ks. You want to run quicker, but you physically can't. And that shit just starts tapping into your mind like, fuck, just quit, Wade. Just fucking stop. Just your mouth's dry. You're fucking cramping. You're whatever it might be. That's why they love running, these guys that are up at that level, because your mind's telling you hurry up and get home, but then it's also knocking on the back door saying, hey, just quit, but your legs are so heavy and tired.
I'm exactly the same. I don't run with watches. I don't run nothing, man. I don't.
Yeah.
I run until I'm done running.
Correct.
I don't care how far it is.
Yeah.
I don't care how fast I go.
If I see times and shit, it just fucks with my mindset.
I'm not running marathons. I don't need to check my time.
Nah.
And I don't need to run under whatever.
Correct.
I know I'm running under 5 minute Ks, easily 4.5s. But like I'll run until I'm done.
Yeah.
And when like this year has probably been the hardest year, where this mentality of mine and the choices that I've made have come back to bite me mentally, and I'm paying the price for those. And I'm willing to acknowledge my mistakes and take accountability for the decisions that I've made in life, good, bad, whatever. And running helped me by, and it sounds awful, but like putting myself through immense physical pain to toughen my mental to be able to deal with
100%.
the emotional side of it. Which is one thing I speak to a lot of people about, is like there's mental pain, but there's also emotional pain. And they're two separate things in my opinion, because I think physical breeds everything. And your ability to deal with everything. So you commit to like immense physical pain, healthy physical pain. So running, and I would just run, and I'd run till midnight, and I'd end up fuck knows down the road. And I'm like, stop for a minute, and I'll like be borderline spewing, nothing left, and I'm like, righto, now run your ass home. And I'd run the same back.
Well, you got to get home. That's what I sort of do. I force myself to go one way.
And be fucked if I was allowing myself to walk.
No, you're not walking.
Because it defeats the purpose. I don't even care if it's just like the slowest plod. You get your ass home and you run the whole way there.
100%.
I would never stop.
Yeah, it could just be the slightest jog, man.
Legit.
Yeah, and I've got that same mindset where I'm like, do you really want to be a bitch today? If you stop now, like this morning I went for a run, I did 15 Ks. Big deal. Who cares about the number? But for me, I'm not a big runner. I've only been running for the last 2 months. Now, I know I had a big athletic background, but they went through a stage of my life there too where when I came back to Shep, that's when I started fishing hardcore. I fished my whole life, but predominantly went really hardcore when I moved back to Shep for obvious reasons. And then hit the weights, did a lot of hit work, but I never did a fair bit about boxing as well. But I've only really sort of taken running serious the last 2-3 months. And running, what it teaches you other than the mental capacity and the physical side of things is you can see rewards really quickly. Like like you just said, you push yourself to get to one point, and I guarantee you 4 weeks later you'd get past that point. Whereas strength training, you can, but I reckon running is the most easiest way in terms of seeing the rewards, but physically, mentally being the hardest. You know, you can see them like that.
100%, almost immediately. And like it's your body getting used to, and you can probably attest to this more than me with your degree, is like your body gets used to the stimulus very quickly.
100%.
It's like the first couple of days and you try and run 5K from just starting from scratch, right? It's brutal. Even the first kilometer's dog shit.
But then it's terrible.
Literally like by the end of the week, you'll find that you're not so much more aerobically fit, but your body is used to the stimulus, and your body's going, oh, okay, we're running now. I'll prep, like I'll put blood where it needs to go and all that sort of shit, and like your brain and your nervous system.
Physiologically, it's all adding up.
Yeah, your brain's going like, oh yeah, now I know what we're doing.
Yeah,
I can probably prep us a bit better for it.
Yeah.
So then you get to that week and it's easy to see, and you can call it progression because it technically is. And then you go, okay, and that gives you the motivation to keep running. The hardest part about running is starting. Well, the hardest part about anything in life that's hard is starting.
Correct.
But running, if you can commit to doing it every day, and you will just want to run more. And the high you get when you do hit that runner's high, it exists, is incredible. My runner's high is fucking 10 plus Ks now, which is shit.
Just dopamine, fucking.
And I can sit there and I just like think, I listen to music sometimes I just run with noise cancelling headphones on to be in silence. Probably not the safest thing, but for cars and shit. I run towards traffic so I can see it coming.
My biggest fear is running like in an estate and a car fucking pulls out and just cleans you up, but it is what it is.
Where I was running, I lived rural out of Townsville, so I could run and not see fuck all, which is good. But running for me, running and boxing are probably the two that are, because they're like a lengthy pursuit. Just one session is a lengthy pursuit. Jiu-jitsu and stuff, it's all good and stuff, but you can like pick your tempo.
You can back it off. I've never done it, by the way, so I can't really comment. But.
No, but it's very true. You can back it off and you can manage it a bit better. Whereas running, if you commit to running and you commit to a certain pace, it's a lot harder. Same with boxing too. Like if you slow down, you're going to get your head punched in.
Well, it's funny you say that because when I was doing a lot of boxing, I never fought, obviously, at an amateur or professional level, but I did a fair bit of sparring. And shit gets fucked up real quick when you get hit a couple times in the head, man. You know, your fatigue obviously a lot quicker. You know, things change very quickly. So it's like the old saying goes, everyone looks good hitting a bag. But when you put them into the ring, then you'll see the true colours come out, you know. 100%.
And circling back to the points you were making before is like, the hardest work and the hardest shit to do is the stuff that nobody sees.
100%.
So like, they see your degree and they see you with a business and they see you doing osteo or physio or whatever you're doing, but they don't see the 3-4 years of commitment to your sport that then led you down the path, and then the 3 or 4 years of commitment to do like a full 180 and go from like a physical thing to an academic mental thing and commit to study. And your brother dying and all that sort of stuff. And then you walk out, that piece of paper is worth so much more than someone that come out of school, went to uni and did exactly the same thing. 100%. I don't care what anybody says. 100%.
For me, like, and on that too, man, I remember the first week. Yeah, first week it would have been of the course. I remember sitting in the theatre and they're going around, just do all that generic shit like, Wade, where are you from? What school did you go from? What school did you go to? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm hearing fucking Caulfield Grammar, and I'm thinking, fuck me. Like, I'm like, fuck, where are you from? Yeah. And I'm like, Shepparton, did a bridging course, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like the odd one out. And I was comfortable with that, man, because you know what? I just continually just worked my ass off and got, and I hit some good grades, but that was just attribute to I had to learn how to study, right? For me, you hear people say, I'll learn differently, in front of me, diagrams, whatever it might be. For me, man, it was repetition. I've still got books where it's like you open this A4 plain piece of paper book and it's just got sentence after sentence after sentence after sentence, and I'm just rewriting shit, right? And that was just rewriting the same slide of a 50-page slide PowerPoint on hematology. And I was just writing them slides out. And people say, well, that's memorizing. Yeah, that's how I learned. And I had to do what I had to do. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You do what works, right? So
do what works, correct.
You would follow Alex Hormozy a bit?
Yep.
Yeah, so like one of his things is like, there's sometimes you just got to brute force it.
Correct.
And that is it, like just through sheer fucking volume.
Yeah.
You might not be the smartest tool in the shed, the least educated, the least opportunity. But if you outwork everybody else,
100%,
you will 100% get there. And that's what I committed to with this business and with life.
I can see.
I just fucking will, you will not outwork me. You will not stay awake longer than me. You will not travel as much. You will not drive as far.
Well, I can vouch for that, because coming here today and seeing the amount of effort that you put into this, not saying that it's not worth it, but what I'm saying is that, fuck, you put a lot of effort into what you do. And you should be proud of that. You know what I mean? Yeah,
and the same for you, man. Like, to come from where you've come to create what you've created and stuff. And we haven't even tapped into like the fishing side of it yet.
Nah.
Like, and that's it. It's so hard with podcasts. I struggle so much with, like, I want to talk so deep about it. Like, your story up until this point is incredible. And like, it's easy to say, I moved down to Melbourne and it was hard, but like, there would have been days there, multiple days, I'm sure, where you were like, I want to go home so bad. I hate this bloke I'm living with. I don't want to train anymore. Training's hard. Fucking like all of that. And that's more often than not.
Yeah, like just like flashbacking on that now, man. Like, if you see how I live my life now, man, people would think I'm fucking patriotic. Like, I love where I live. I'm proud to be Australian. Even though I have a Greek heritage background, I'm proudly Australian, and I'll say I'm Australian, and I am. I was born here. That's what I am. That's who I am. But I don't forget my roots. And my roots is from Greece. And I say that because my life's changed so much, man. Like, you reflect and you go, fuck, what was I thinking? Or fuck, what was I doing? Fuck, did I really do that? That's your character. That's what brought you to here, was what you went through. There's, as the saying goes, you can lose money, you can lose, you can lose money, you can lose property, you can lose everything in your life, right? But the minute you lose your character, you lose everything. And it's so true, because your character's built on what you've done.
Everything else falls off the back of that if you aren't true to yourself, which it took me a long time to find through my 20s, like pretending to be and pretending to fit in. I didn't know I was trying, but like surrounding yourself with people that you didn't really align with and you didn't agree with and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm in that lonely period now where I don't have many friends. And a lot of the friends I do have, true friends, like, I don't talk too often because I'm so busy.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for them, because when I do reach out, they don't shit on me and they know I'm getting after it and all that sort of stuff, and they're good. But like, true friends, I don't have many these days, and I'm in that lonely period of life, and I feel more comfortable here than I did when I had 50, 100,000 friends trying to fit in and do things that
You're pleasing people.
100%.
You're pleasing people, man.
Yeah.
That's all you were doing with that amount of friends, because you got to ask yourself, why do you need that amount of friends? You don't, right? Reality is your, like I said, character reflects who you are. People will either be drawn to that or they won't be. Mind you, man, the pace you work at, the energy you work at, that will steer people away.
It does.
I'm telling you right now, people will shit scared of themselves and they'll go, yeah, fuck, this cunt's fucking wild, you know? But that's how you want to be, because that's, like I said, when you die, who do you want to be remembered for, you know? So that, like, going back to the fishing side of things, like, for me, man, I've cod fished my whole life. Like, I've got photos from when I was 3-4 years old with my old man fishing on the Goulburn River, bait fishing, as bad as it sounds, fucking caught undersized cod and took them.
Yeah, that's everybody.
But
That's old school, man.
Old school. I was a kid, because I'd say to my old man, I'd chuck a hissy fit at 4 years old and say, I want to keep it. You know, and it's just, as bad as this sounds too, man, my grandfather was built on an era with springers. So setting live set hooks and all that shit, right?
So was mine.
I did it, man, as a kid, because, you know, that's how the heritage was. And this was before, you know, Vic Fishery started slamming that side of things and so forth. And I'm grateful I learnt that, because I got so many memories, man. Like, my grandfather used to tell me stories where, old school stories, and this might be for a lot of cod guys that probably didn't know, and especially the young guys that didn't know. They used to get, you know, you used to go to the supermarket and you get those like 15 kilo, 20 kilo laundry powder boxes.
I've been there.
Yeah, so they deoxygenize the water, right? So back then, what they used to do, man, is when the river used to run low before irrigation purposes, you'd get pools of water. And these pools of water were like 4 or 5 meters, right? But 3 meters long, 4 meters wide, not very big, right? And there'd be the odd cod, maybe multiple in there. So they'd get a rope tight to the laundry box and dump it in the water. And it would deoxygenize the water and dead cod would float up, but fresh, and they'd take it and eat it. It's such a fucked up mentality when you think about it now. But these people lived off that food.
Yeah, and that's where it becomes different.
Correct.
Yeah.
If I'm eating it and I'm providing for my family, I can understand why you did it. Is it right? No. But you had to feed your family, right?
And back, just to add to that before you continue on, like, my grandparents grew up in dirt floor houses.
100%.
Right? Like, it was still very almost pioneerish back then. Like,
no fucking electricity back then, bro.
2 fucking generations
ago.
ago.
Not long ago.
Nah, so like, it's easy to say that now based on your current understanding, but back then it's very different. And a fucking cod would feed a family of what? A meter cod or whatever long. So,
families.
Yeah.
Families. No different to a stag or if you shot a samba now, you could feed 3 families.
100%.
Probably more. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's a perspective thing, right? And not, being too critical based on current
Yeah,
circumstances,
but in saying that too, man, current, do we think like that because we've been influenced to think like that?
Yes.
That's what we have to think about here too, right? That's a different rabbit hole, right? Because we've seen what they've done with other shit to us, but we'll talk about that another time. But going back to that point, that's why I've always been attracted. Like, cod's always something I've done, but when you start talking about hard things, when you take cod to a level of going lures only and before live scope, that's a whole fucking different kettle of fish, man. Like, when I moved back to Shep, then I got real serious. And I was fishing out of the 3.9 meter Stace Pro liner, which is just this shitty old tinny, which to me I still own because it's got so much memories. I'll never get rid of it. I would hook that boat up, man, probably 3 times a week and travel an hour to the Murray to go and fish Murray Cod on top water, right? Fishing Murray Cod on top water, man, is like going to the casino and fucking the roulette table. I'm talking like targeting big fish, yeah? Not your small stuff. So during the winter, you could do 3 trips a week, man, and not see buff, right? You could do 10, 15, 20 trips and not see buff, right? I had it that dialed in, man. I would go and drop in at a particular point and I would just float for about a K or 500. Well, you bet about a K, I reckon. And I would just fish certain snags. I knew these snags so well that in one season I ended up, I think, with 12 fish over the meter mark, which by them standards was really, really good. Like, not, bragging about it, but if someone said, how'd you go this season? Yeah, bang 12 over the meter mark on top water. Fuck, you had a good season, right? Or really good season. So that's when I did that probably for about 4 years, pretty hectic, man, like really dedicated. I had some fucked up times in there where, oh man, missions, you'd send it. And the bite window was like 45 minutes, half an hour max. So if you missed it, because you can't fish it at dark because it's flowing, there's snags everywhere, your efficiency is going to be fucking shocking and dangerous, right? So it was literally, you had first light and probably half an hour, right? They call it the grey zone. So I remember one trip where I was going, I'm on time, perfect, bang, bang, bang. And when you'd go in the Murray, I had about a 15-minute trip by dirt track. And this one dirt track, I used to drive it pretty hard because I wanted to hurry the fuck up and get to the boat ramp. And I hit this rut so hard that the leaf springs banged out of the bottom of the boat, popped a tyre, fucking just fucked everything up. And I had clients booked in at like 10:30 and I'm sitting there going, fuck me, forget about fishing. What the fuck are you going to do, mate? There's no one there. It's midweek, right? No reception. So it's all, you don't get reception in there either. So I pulled the jack out of the ute and this thing's stuck in a rut. So forget about, you didn't even have enough leverage to bump it up. And then just issues went on. And that was one instance, but I had a number of other issues. And what a lot of guys don't understand today is that's what you went through, man, to get that reward. That's fucking a lot of work, man. I remember coming home that morning and I was fucking covered in mud head to toe. And my missus was like, I don't even want to know what the fuck happened. And I was like, yeah, you don't want to know, you know? So talking like now about live scope, it just cuts corners and it's here to stay. I don't have a problem with that. Like when I say I don't have a problem with it, like I was saying earlier before, if I was a young guy coming through the system or even an old guy and I'd never caught a meter cod before, how would I want to remember that experience? I think I'd want to do it raw without live scope.
And just to reinforce that, my opinion on it is it's fun. It's a sick way of fishing. It's basically sight casting, but through a digital
100%.
screen. It's fucking, especially like spending time up in Darwin and stuff, chasing big barramundi doing it is incredible. Yeah. And it's heaps fun and you get more fish, better quality, you can be selective, all that sort of stuff. That's all well and good. It will not make you, I shouldn't say that, but it's pretty close. It will not make you I'll say it this way, it will not make you as good a fisherman as if you are to go and either use traditional sounders or just figure it out
100%
manually through like my Murray Cod experience was, and this is on the same point, my Murray Cod experience, I'm from Western Queensland, southwestern Queensland, a place called Charleville. It's the very top of the Murray system. It's about as far north as you can get cod. And I grew up old school. My dad's dad, my mum's dad. Literally, there's not a boat ramp. What it is, the system there is only when it's flooding. It's connected. Otherwise, it's just like 10 kilometre, 20 kilometre, 30 kilometre billabongs, basically. Gum tree, tea tree line billabongs. And we used to walk the banks or go in tinnies.
Snaggy water?
Very snaggy. Big tree, big gum tree laydowns, all that sort of stuff. Standing timber, tea tree overhangs, all that sort of stuff. We used to go with a rowboat. My dad used to have a boat with oars, no motor. And we used to go and set cod lines, 12-0, 14-0 hooks, rope, go and catch, you'd call them spangle perch. We call them bobbies. Spangle perch, big yabbies, all that sort of stuff, and hang them all up and down the river on all the like overhangs.
Floating?
Yeah, sometimes floating. Sort of hang them like within, I don't know, say 1 foot to 3 foot deep.
That's exactly what we did with carp.
And then have it either like if you've got I may as well go into detail about it. So you've got a big dead timber that doesn't have a lot of give like a tea tree branch would. You'd put a big bike tube rubber on it.
We used a bike tube.
Or springers, jam a springer in the bank. Like a flexi stick and tie it on there. So we did all that sort of stuff. And this is where I like really appreciate my old man because he learnt that way from his dad and all that sort of stuff. But he was like, there has to be a better way to do this. And this was pre-internet and pre all the shit. Like you knew people were catching cod on lures, but it was down in dams and it was only on the Murray.
The odd occasional fucking article, but
you didn't see much.
It was
about
like 6 months before you even fucking got a whiff of it.
Legit. And our water up there is the colour of this table, right? So it makes it very different. And my old man was like, there's got to be a better way to do this sort of stuff. So through my teenage years, he actually won a boat, and I'll dive dirt of it because it's a pretty cool story. He won a boat. He went to Fraser Island, and he used to travel with his mates and go do fishing trips randomly, just figure it out. And he went to Fraser Island one year, and he won a boat in, I think it was a flathead comp, or I think it was just a general fishing comp, and he won it. He won a 3-meter punt, V-nose punt, cunt of a thing, unstable fucking
V-nose punt would have been
awful,
fucking
bro.
unstable.
Nasty. He won a V-nose punt, and he won a tiller steer, like the very first model Minn Kota, a 12-volt tiller steer
really?
Minn Kota, like a transom mount Minn Kota.
That would have been old school.
Yeah, man. So he won that. So that was what he went out in, and then he was like, he was one of those people that would remember or document stuff. So he would know when they used to go set cod lines, he would consider moon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was one of those weird people that was like ahead of his time with how he thought about stuff, which is where I got a lot of it from, I guess. So he would think about, and people would do it obviously, but not where I was from.
Yeah.
They would just go fishing to go fishing, and they'd set all the cod lines, sit on the bank for 3 days and get blind.
Couldn't give a fuck, yeah.
Yeah, whereas my old man was like, I'll go set cod lines when I know the cod are going to bite.
Yeah.
Or I know likely snags, or I got busted off and all that sort of stuff. You need to figure it out. Go and get the best baits.
Yeah.
Keep the baits alive for as long as possible, all that sort of stuff.
He was always one step ahead.
Thinking about it.
Yeah.
So he would think about the moons and all that sort of stuff. So he's like, all right, I'm going to go and try and I can see like Rod Harrison and all those guys.
They were big pioneers, man.
Yeah. So he was seeing like Rod Harrison and all those guys catching them on spinnerbaits and things. So he was like, all right, I'll go and start doing that. So he would go down the river at 2 or 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, start casting until just after daylight. And he went for, I remember being like months and not getting a single fish because he'd fish in chocolate milk.
Yeah. So if you didn't have something that was presentable, good luck.
Yeah. So then he was like, he got one. And I remember it being, I think it was like 700, 800. It wasn't a meter. It was like a good fish. So.
Yeah, out of that system.
Yeah, out of the system and out of the timber and stuff. So he was stoked by himself. So he got back and then he went straight on, I don't know what it was at the time, online, and he bought a heap of gear and he started making his own spinnerbaits. Didn't sell them or anything, but just started making his own spinnerbaits. And he's like, I don't like these
colours, traces,
all that sort of shit. Started bending his own wire. Didn't like the wire because it would bend.
Through wires,
straighten hooks, and he got down the rabbit hole and he customised these spinnerbaits. And then he used to go out like religiously, and he was like known at home for catching big cod on spinnerbaits.
Yeah, because he started the movement.
Yeah.
Everyone starts a movement at some point in time. You know, like I remember when I finished, I did about 4 or 5 years hardcore in the Murray, and then that's when I got to know JC quite well. Yeah. And we're pretty close because he's originally Shep Boy as well. So we kicked off pretty good. And then at that point in time, he'd put at least 2 years into to Ilden, 3 years of solid hardcore swim bait fishing, right? Before live scope and everything. And have you been to Ilden?
No, not properly, no.
Man, we'll do Ilden, right? When you go there, the first thing you'll say is, even when you're looking on the map, fuck, there's a lot of water.
Man, I look at it on Google Earth and it's insane.
Fuck, a lot of water weight, right? So you got to say to yourself, the first thing I say to myself is, where would I be if I was a cod? Like, where do I start, right? So when JC was doing all this testing and working it out back then, if I showed you some of the places he was fishing, we wouldn't fish there now, but we would if at particular times of the year, if we were looking for relatively high numbered fish, right? But the matter of the fact that he had to work it out and then I jumped on board and we worked it out together, fuck, man, there was some sessions there where you didn't see shit for, 15 sessions, 20 sessions where you didn't get a bite at Ilden, right? I think his biggest donut was 29 sessions without a fish. Yeah, that's him. I never counted mine. But the point I'm trying to make, man, is we got it then dialed in. Again, this is all before live scope. We got it dialed in to the point where we would fish every fortnight, guaranteed. We'd fish every fortnight and we'd leave with at least a bite, if not 2 bites, or we'd at least leave with a fish or 2. Not physically, but caught it, right? All on swim baits. That's when the puzzle started to come together and we're like, fuck, we're putting it all together. At this point in time, there probably would have been only another 3 or 4 guys that were dialed in doing it. Are they still around doing it with live scope? Probably not. From what I'm thinking in top of my head, them boys. And they're good fishermen, right? Really good fishermen, really good cod anglers. So they've been stirred away from it. And it was interesting because I speak to them still regularly, or not regularly, but when I do see them and have a good chat. And for them, they've just lost the passion because of live scope. And that's understandable. Like, I can understand that, because when we were doing it before live scope, you appreciated the fish more. Guys live scope now, they catch a 90, 95, 80, 105, and they just act like it's not much. To me, that's not how it should be respected, in my opinion. But like you said, it's the new way and it's here to stay. And I think it's good in terms of getting more people fishing, because the more people, the more licenses, the more money, the more funding. But it goes back to the question of, how do you want to remember the first trophy fish? That's what I always say to people. If you're comfortable doing it via live scope, great. But if you really want to bang it out hard and do it for what you want to do and remember it for that, don't get live scope.
In my opinion, would be to learn it without it.
100%.
Even if you've got it, like, go back and try and learn it.
Yeah.
Like, and have an appreciation for the people that put the work in to figure it out without all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
Even pre-side scan. Like, for me in the barra scene, like, side scan became an incredible thing.
I remember for my time, that was like fucking breaking news.
Bro, it was insane. And my old man literally said, and I keep talking about my dad for some reason, but it just keeps coming into just memory's sake. I remember him saying, like, literally probably 12 months before he died and not long before LiveScope came out, was one day you'll be able to see the fish on the screen swimming, like a live version of it.
And he was fucking right.
Literally.
He was right,
He definitely
brother.
wasn't the only person to say that.
Yeah.
But like, that's the progression of it. And it's just going back to what you said about, like, what I said before is, like, your degree through the path that you took to get it is worth so much more than somebody else who just went to uni and got educated. Exactly the same as someone who goes out, buys a boat, puts active target or live scope or whatever on it, and goes
100%.
fishing and catches a cod.
Yeah.
There's so much more work in it, and you have so much more IP, like intellectual property, and knowledge of fish systems. And the people, I think, for me, that fish the old school way, like, I would still use active target, but I did cut my teeth pre-active target, so I was sort of biased. But like, I would still go out, but I have a much bigger appreciation just for being out.
Yeah.
And you learn, like, doing that sort of stuff and all those dead missions that you donut on and all that sort of stuff. You're out and you're taking notice, like, you're casting your ass off. You're working so hard for a fish all day.
Yep.
And it teaches you that resilience and just to appreciate being on the water and being grateful to be in a country that we're in, fishing the systems that we're in, looking at the wildlife that we're in and learning from that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go out with the purpose to catch fish, I understand that's the ultimate purpose, right?
Yeah.
But if you go out there and, like, I must catch fish, you've already lost.
Yeah, 100%. I'd have to agree with that. And I reckon that's where the attitude's changed. I've seen guys, man.
Do you want another one of these?
Yeah. It's fucking good. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, I need one more. I'm not going to lie, man. Like, the attitude's changed a lot. And I'm not having a go at anyone here, whoever thinks they're having a go, I'm having a go at them. But you need to ask yourself, why do you fish for? Because I'll be honest with you, I've had a few guys DM me through Bait Rlgn, and they've asked me, they said, hey man, how are you dealing with it? Like, with live scope and everything. And mind you, the characteristic across all these guys, they never caught good fish prior to live scope. They probably never even cod fish, before live scope. My advice to them was, man, go back to doing it raw. Because if you do it raw, you'll get more appreciation for it. And what I mean by that is like me and JC, if we jump on a boat and go on scope and he gets a 105, I get a 105 or a 95, we still appreciate that fish. Because, man, that fish before live scope, you were fucking jumping up and down. You were like, fuck, mate, this is unbelievable, right? So my advice to these guys is go back to the raw roots, do it, and then compare it. I'll be honest with you, Aid. When I go out now and I do live scope, I've got it. The reason why I do it is because I've got other factors in my life now. I've got 2 boys. I'm married. I work full-time in a family business that's a massive family business. Cheers, brother. And that business is massive. And then on the side, Bait Rlgn's a side hustle. Guys look at me and think Bait Rlgn's my full-time work. It's not, man. I do it on the side. And, you know, for me to go out in the water and slug it like I used to and fucking bang it out and do it hard, it's a massive day. It's a massive day, man. It's becoming unpractical for me. Like, my young bloke now, I just literally bought him a fishing rod yesterday. He's only 3, and he won't touch live scope until he does it the hard way, and then I'll give him access to it. But for now, he's not touching it, right? yellow belly and everything, that's different. We'll do that together on live scope, but legitimate triple digit cod, like you're not touching live scope. You're going to do it the hard way, and I'll do it with him, right? But I use it because one, it cuts a lot of time out for me, and I can prove that it does. Because when I used to do it, man, to your point, 2 days, they were 2-day missions, mate. I can do a 2-day mission now with live scope and probably catch a minimum 3 cod, if not 5, when they're on. Don't get me wrong. There's times there, and I guarantee you've seen this with Barrow, where you just fucking don't find them. It happens, yeah? Just because you got live scope, I'm not saying they jump in your boat. What I'm saying is when you got live scope, it cuts a significant amount of work down.
Yeah, and that's a better way of putting it. I'm not saying it's not hard, because it's still difficult.
It's still difficult.
You start to cast properly and be using all the right shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It cuts down a lot of time. That's what I try and get into people's heads is it cuts down a lot of time. What do you mean? Dude, you're looking underwater.
Literally.
How many fucking times before live scope did you used to say to yourself, I wonder what the fuck these cunts are thinking under there? I used to say that all the time, man, right? Or you missed the bite and you're thinking, fuck, what did I do? What did I do wrong, right? So to anybody that thinks that it's not a big game changer, you're fucking delusional. And I don't mean that in a rude way. It's a massive, massive, massive game changer. Does it mean they jump in your boat? No. Does it mean you can find them quicker and easier? Yes. Let's think about it, man. Majority of the time, the reason why a fisherman is successful, whether it be trophy or commercial, is because they can find the fish.
Legit.
That's all it is. The person who can find them quicker, the person who can find the bigger ones quicker is usually a better fisherman. Makes sense to me.
Exactly.
If I've given you a tool to look underwater now and you can see shit quicker and easier, hey, you've already cut out 90% of the work, brother. You just got to make that other 10% work.
100%. And I think like the people that get on all those like live scope or active target haters and like all that shit, like that's just unnecessary. I think like
100%.
If you're fishing, regardless of how you do it, and you're operating within the legal limits of whatever, and you go fishing and you enjoy whatever the fuck you're doing, whether you're setting cod lines, which is almost illegal in most places these days. If you're setting cod lines and you enjoy going and setting cod lines and coming back on the bank and lighting a fire and sitting and having a few beers, good on you. Like, and if you want a live scope or if you want to do it traditionally,
100%.
Don't shit on other people.
Nah, that's it.
Be grateful that there's people out fishing and there's people out taking their kids out fishing and all that sort of stuff.
Wait, be grateful that you got a fucking lake where you don't have dudes up your ass, man. Go to America. I've seen photos from my customers in America. There's like fucking 500 boats on the lake, bro. Good luck. Like if that was me, like now, if that was us in Lake Eildon or whether it be any Barrow Lake up north, you'd get fucking anxiety. You'd be like, what's the point of even fucking fishing? Like I've got someone right up my ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I reckon we're grateful, man. We should be very grateful that we've got fisheries where they're not overstimulated.
Yeah. And I think like it's the amount of people fishing is always going to grow, especially when cases
100%.
like active target, because like most people's circumstances are like yours. They are busy and active target taking down. I say you active target just because I've like used Navico, that's all. But live scope active target, it cuts a whole lot of time down. So you have the opportunity to go out for half a day and a high likelihood of getting a fish, but then you can still be home for dinner or you can still catch your kids for breakfast.
That's it, man.
And take a morning soccer game and then go fishing. Like
spot on.
So you need to be accepting of people that only have that limited time. So they go and buy a 16-inch sounder and put a live scope pole in the front to be able to go and do what they need to do.
Yeah, and still get enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, man. Catching cod, I haven't caught Barry yet on live scope, but catching cod on live scope, it's a thrill. 100% it is, right? It's no different to hunting when, you know, if you can see, like that's probably the most amazing thing with hunting is you can see it before you shoot it, right? With fishing, you never had that. Unless you're sight casting, right? But typically speaking with cod, you never had that experience. Now you've got that experience. That's the game changer, right? And that's what a lot of people don't understand. And I go back to the point is the only reason why I use it and I have it is because of the time factor. I have my only problem, man, and this is something I've always vouched for is if you're using live scope to drive your status as a good angler, that's questionable, right? That's the only questionable part I have, right? For somebody that hasn't done the groundwork prior. If you're somebody fresh on the block and you've picked up live scope and now you're using it to show how good of an angler you are, there's a lot of question marks around that. If you've done it before live scope, you've picked it up and you're still showing that, hey, I was a good angler, now I'm a fucking even better angler, hats off to you, bro. Like the way I look at that is you're a great angler and you're an even better angler with technology.
You put in the work.
You put in the work. I understand the rebuttal to that is, well, everybody coming into the game now isn't going to go and do it raw. They're just going to buy it off the shelf. That's understandable, man. But that's for the next generation to work out, not my generation. Because our generation was built on doing it hard without scope and without these other tools where it was all 2D, right? I never fished with sounders prior to live scope, man. I never did for cod. My theory was the tick on the sounder would spook them. Is that true now with live scope? No. I've had Murray Cod on live scope sit within 2 meters, a meter of the beam. Big fish, like I'm talking, 120 plus fish, very smart fish sitting underneath the beam thinking, what the fuck is that? There's some form of radioactive radiation coming towards me. I can feel it. It's an energy. It is. It's energy being let out. They're not dumb fish. They know something's going around them. Another thing is a theory behind boats. Can they see your boat? Fucking oath they can.
Yeah.
By a mile. Mate, I've had big cod come up, chase a lure. You're thinking, yeah, he's going to eat it. 2 meters within the boat.
Rolling it, yeah.
Rolling it.
The same with barra. Like, I've had barra eat at the bow on active target.
Yeah.
Or seen barra eat at the bow and then jump into the boat. But then I've also seen barra, as soon as the lure lands, they spook. Like
100%.
It just depends them on the day, I think.
Yeah.
And like, we're down the active target rabbit hole, but like, if you look at it, right, yeah, it's technology, but active target and sight fly fishing.
Yeah.
It's like saltwater fly fishing.
That's your fucking...
That's mine, yeah.
That's your juice.
Yeah, it's the same thing, right? It is essentially the same thing. The only thing is you've got a digital screen being your eyes.
Correct.
It is literally
which
the
I
same
know
thing.
which one I'd rather have.
Yeah.
I'd rather be seeing it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think like that it's always been there. It's just been put on the screen.
100%, man.
And yeah, you can see deeper into the column and I get all that shit, right? But there's a huge thrill in that too. And you can be like the idea, like you can get to the point where you're more likely to catch bigger fish. So you can go and look for 110s, 120s, 130s even. And you can go, oh, I found 2 cod in this little pocket, but I'm not going to target them, too small.
Yeah.
And then you can go and you can optimize your time on the water.
Yeah.
For someone like you that's caught umpteen dozen amounts of cod, you can now go out with active target and be selective.
Yeah.
And go looking for that big fish. Is it worth as much as if you were traditionally catching it? Probably not. But
wait, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because for me, I've done it. And like I said, don't confuse it with arrogance. Don't confuse it with being a cocky cunt. Confuse it with that I've achieved internally what I wanted to achieve, and now I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it. That doesn't mean I'm going to get lazy. What it means is that I'm just going to enjoy that, hey, I've done it hard, and now I'll enjoy the fruits of the labor. But the interesting thing to add to that is when I'm using live scope, man, I'm learning.
yeah,
A lot of guys just fucking look at the screen and go, fuck, where's the cod? Where's the barra? Where's fucking swing it, right? I'm thinking, I'm seeing less bait. 2 meters of water, temperature, fucking snag. I caught him here last time.
why is it facing that way? All that
You
sort
know,
of shit.
I'm asking myself all these questions, man. Oh, bang, there's a cod. All right, I can see him. Calm down, big deal. He's there. What is he? You know?
You still got to know where to look.
Yeah, that's the key.
Yeah.
Right? And then you flip the coin and you go, fuck, I wouldn't have picked the cod to be there. I wouldn't have picked the barra to be there.
Why is he there?
Why is he there? So then you start looking at other shit. And you know what, man? It's like life. There's not always answers, brother. They're just there because they want to be there. You can go back there 100 times, they might not be there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's how it is.
They might be just like you can't tell me any human being knows what the fuck they're doing. Like
Exactly right.
Like they might be just the same, just swimming around looking for a feed, and they go, oh, this is probably a good spot for a look, and then oh, there's a lure, and they think it's a fish.
So that's what's drawn me to hunting, man.
Yep.
I'll be honest, haven't done fuck all hunting in my life. And you can call me ambitious, but I bought a bow.
Yes, that's the way to start. Then you don't have to ever pick up a rifle. I'm telling you.
Shout out to who was, I think it was Nick from Bow Hunting. Only he got my details and shit and done everything for me. So to be honest, man, that's one thing I should have done. We need to tee up again because you need to help me sort out if it's set up right. I don't know if it's set up 100%. That's a massive learning curve. It's hard, but I like it hard. Now, do I like it hard to the point where oh yeah, man, here's a bow, go out on your own and go do everything by yourself? Not really, because I would rather say, hey, Wade, show me how to shoot a bow properly, man. All right. And then cut the steps a bit quicker. You know what I mean? I'll go out on my own. I'll try. I'll do what I can do. But then eventually if one of my mates goes, hey, man, I can show you, let's show you just to show you what a deer looks like within 15 meters of the bow shot, I'm happy not to take the shot, man. But I'm happy to be there and live the moment and say, fuck, Wade, that was heart in the throat type shit. Like that was fucking hectic. You know?
100%. The one warning I'll give you, if you pick up a bow and you start bow hunting and you commit to it, you will never chase an animal with a rifle. I can almost, just because I know your personality and I know your mentality, I can almost guarantee that you won't. A rifle for you is live scope.
Yeah, because see, I've been rifle hunting a handful of times with Johnny now.
Yep.
And he's getting the bug where he's like, how much that fucking bow cost you?
Fucking more, as much as a rifle if you're going to do it properly.
No, because I know what he's doing. He's sort of saying to himself, I reckon I'm fucking going to join you. And I'm thinking, fuck yeah, like let's, get on board. So, he enjoys his rifle hunting. And for meat and stuff, I can understand, and everything. But my brother's always been a rifle hunter as well. And he's even getting the itch too. He's sort of like, fuck yeah, like I wouldn't mind getting a bow as well. So, and it's all networking, man. Like this is the point with fishing and hunting in general to everyone that's listening to this. A lot of success comes from, if people said to me, where's your success in cod fishing? You got to know where to look. Fuck, man, don't waste your time fishing water where there might be one big fish, or you've heard of capture rates of being less big fish compared to option B over here where there's massive big fish all the time. Lake Eildon mark my words, you'll look back on this podcast in 5-10 years' time, Lake Eildon would be the most pinnacle cod fishery in Australia. I'm happy to admit that, right?
You're not the only person I've heard say that either.
Yeah, it will be by a mile. Now, what I mean by that is, if I had a chance to fish Lake Eildon or to go fish the Broken River, which is a tiny creek not far from Shet, if you want to catch numbers, man, go to the Broken. There'll be like fingerlings in there. There'll be 20, 30 centimetre cod, right? There is big fish in there, but not by a saturated amount. If you want to go head-to-head with some big cod, you'd go to Lake Eildon or you'd go to the Murray, but they'd be far in between. But if you go to Lake Eildon, there's going to be a higher concentration. So already, if you said to yourself, all right, where do I got to fish? You'd say Lake Eildon, Blowering Dam's another one. Lake Moala has big fish, but a lot of small fish as well. So you'd say, okay, well, I'm going to put my chances in them two big dams, right? And Burrinjuck, is the third one that's got a lot of big cod in it too. So if I said to myself, I'm going to pick up a bow and I'm going to go bow hunting, the first thing I need to ask myself is, well, where's the concentration of deer? I'm not going to go and fucking walk into a forest that doesn't have any deer in it, because then you're obviously going to continually fail. So you have to do your research and you've got to network. The more people you know, the better opportunity you'll get at looking at things. That's how business works. That's how life works, man.
100% it is. Like with the reason I like my skills and understanding, one, I've hunted most of my life in one way or the other. So like it's not new to me, like taking an animal or shooting rifles.
You've done it your whole life.
I've done it my whole life. The only thing that is reasonably new to me is the bow aspect of it. Yeah. And what it's done is give me, because you have to be so much slower, so much quieter, and you have to get so much closer, 100%. It's given me a bigger appreciation for all of the nitty gritty and the 1%ers.
Yeah.
And a deeper appreciation for bird sounds, for an example. Yep. You can have one bird that'll just fucking set everything off and ruin it.
And then I've heard when it's quiet, there's something around. Is that true?
Potentially. I'm not super savvy with the sambar side of it here. I've only like tapped into a little bit with Melzo, but never in like a detail. But I've done a lot of chill hunting with the twins and a little bit by myself and stuff as well. And the point I was making is, I guess, those guys, and reinforcing your point, is those guys, because they've been doing it since they were like 4 years old.
Unbelievable
hunters. Incredible. They are, if I will argue that they're the best in Australia, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
their content's next level, man.
Man, insane.
Yeah. Like, I'll be honest with you, for somebody that's never shot an animal with a bow, it drove me to buy a bow.
Yeah.
Not because I want to be like them, because I personally don't think I'll ever be as good as a bow hunter as them, but it drove me to sort of say, fuck, man, one day if I ever got a trophy stag, I'd be happy with one trophy stag. I don't need 30.
Nah.
But how good they are, good on them. Like that's what they do. They do what they do to inspire other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't do it to be arrogant. They do it to inspire other people. That's where people get confused.
100%, man. And like the clarity, that short film I did on Aiden,
Yeah, that was insane.
that was a very good depiction of his belief and why he does it.
Yeah.
And it's not about the actual death of the animal.
No.
It's about the journey in between.
Yeah.
Because it's like, he literally says there's like, the actual killing of the animal is like less than 1%. And it's dead set true.
100%.
And the reason why my skills drastically increased so quickly is because of spending time talking to and spending time in the bush with those boys. And just learning, I'm a visual learner. Like I don't have to ask a heap of questions. I might ask a few, but
You'll
I'll
watch someone. Yeah.
I was noisy as a motherfucker
Yeah.
at the start of it. And then I made an effort to start watching Aiden, how he walks and how he moves and how all of his shit's vertical. Like he doesn't have elbows sticking out and his bow's not.
Clip branches.
All that sort of stuff. He will walk. So like, it's hard to explain. Basalt country is like all volcanic rocks and bits and pieces. And there's like.
Is this Chiddle?
Yeah, Chiddle. Yeah, sorry, up
yeah.
north. Chiddle up northwestern Queensland. There's like rocks and shit and dead grass and dead leaves and all that sort of stuff. And when he's walking in on deer, it's super slow. Aiden's like super slow and methodical. I haven't hunted a great deal with James, but Aiden will walk and step on rocks that don't make noise, right? Instead of stepping on broken leaves. But I don't even know how he does it because he doesn't look down.
Yeah.
His perception, his like peripheral vision is incredible.
Yeah. So from my medical knowledge, like when you look at the brain, when you shut the eyes and you can find your perspective in space, that means you're neurologically really good with where you're going. That's why they sort of say one way to test people's neurological effects is close the eyes and balance on one leg. So if I take visual aspect out of it, how good is your neurosensory system, right?
To keep balanced.
That is neurosensory system. Like he's done that a lot of times, man. Someone like him has done that shit repetitive that it's coming off the bat.
Yeah.
And that's what life's all about is repetition.
Yep.
That's what he's doing.
And that's exactly what it is because he's done it for so long. And I just learned so many things. Like he taught me something in like 30 seconds the last time we went hunting.
Yeah.
Driving the car around, he's like, there's a stag over there. And I'm like, where? And it was a fucking long way away. And the only thing that he's seen was the sun was behind the stag facing and we were sort of looking into the sun, but it was sort of high-ish.
Yeah.
And the sun was shining through the trees and it grabbed the velvet on a stag's antler and it like reflected like a little shimmery sort of, it's hard to explain unless you've
Amazing
seen it.
eyesight.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah. And he doesn't wear sunglasses. You take him out in the water, out in the ocean, and he won't wear fucking sunnies. And I've never seen anybody do that. But it must be because like his body's like physiologically like built itself to deal with it because when you bow hunt, you can't wear glasses because it's shiny as fuck.
Yeah, okay.
You can't.
So that's something I didn't know.
Yeah, anything shiny is bad. But like you can't wear sunglasses because you get a bit of glare, man.
Yeah.
Deer are gone, especially Chiddle because you hunt them. Like you might see them 200, 300, 400 meters away because you hunt in flat country.
So what's a trophy Chiddle?
Man, I think for me it would be anything over 25. It'd be a nice like. I think like for me and this is again learnt from the twins. Is like maturity means more to me than length.
Yep. So you're saying if that animal was mature, man, he's done fucking X amount of years in the system, that's a good animal.
Yeah, big, heavy deer. It might only be 25 or a deer going backwards or something that like a good, heavy, mature stag. Yeah. I would prefer that over a lengthy stag, but I would equally take
a lengthy stag.
That lengthy stag. So I think like a lot of people say like that 29, that 30 is like epic.
Yeah.
Anything over 30.
Is
like
extreme
incredible. Like, but anything 25 plus is a good animal. In my understanding of it, but like high 20s, early 30s.
So from what you've heard, and I guess with Mel's experience with Samba, where do you rate Chiddle and Samba?
Ooh, actually, I've actually thought about this quite a lot. I think equal. But in different aspects.
Okay, so you're telling me they're both fucking hard,
extremely hard,
but they have the two different attitudes, if you want to call it.
I think so. I think Chiddle, remove rifle, because if you go to the places that I've hunted and stuff, if you've got rifle, it's reasonably easy. Because you can find
400-meter shot, no problem.
You can see them from miles away, and you can pick and choose. Specifically with a bow, actually no, I'll go to say specifically with a bow, I would say in my experience only, Samba would be harder. Purely because the vegetation that you deal with.
Yeah.
Chiddle is sort of equally as hard, but in a different way because you've got to cover a whole heap of open ground to get into a shootable distance.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with like sambar deer, what, 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 deer?
Yeah.
Shit, all you're dealing with, you got to be selective. You might see a beautiful stag, but he might be with 20 hinds.
Yeah, but then there's a high chance that you can get fucking blown.
100%.
Yeah,
You
cover.
got 20 hinds looking at
Yeah.
you. Like, and you got to deal with every, you got to every
More eyes, man.
2 steps,
40
and then
eyes.
check who's looking at you.
Yeah.
2 steps, check who's looking at you. It's a different sort of hard, but I think equal to a point.
Yeah.
Super finicky, and the twins actually said, James actually told me that they're very similar in regards to like how witty they are with everything.
I've watched the video. I don't know which brother it was. It could have been James. Who's the other? James?
Aiden's the guy that does most of the filming. James is normally
James.
on.
It could have been. He's got a YouTube clip where he shoots a sambar
Yeah,
stag.
he's got a bit of stubble and stuff. Yeah,
Yep.
that's James. Aiden's
Yep.
clean shaven.
That, you know, like there's some really good clips on YouTube of good sambar stag been taken by bow, and you can just tell I don't care what anyone says, 99% of it's hard work, and then there's just that cream on the top with a bit of luck to say, hey man, now's your time to shine, don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
And I'll take my hat off to it. You know, you take the shot, you hit it, fucking great. You know?
Legit. And I think, like, I was talking to Adam Greentree on the podcast the other day about
fucking Adam, man. Like, he's done so much shit, eh?
Yeah, he's another hardcore dude, man.
He's
just one of those,
hardcore, man.
Just get it done. He's just one of those people. Just go and get it done.
How was he to talk to?
Really good. It was unfortunate because like he was in the middle of moving house. I drove out of my way an hour. I was
How
in.
good's that?
Yeah, I was in Spencer, like between
Yeah.
Sydney and Newcastle, basically.
Yeah.
I had to drive from Spencer after a job finished up to Newcastle.
Yeah.
Podcast in for an hour, then drive back to Sydney I drove an hour and a half the wrong way, and then drove 2.5 hours back to Sydney to catch a flight. Yeah, it was worth it, man.
Yeah.
He's a really good dude. He was super obliging. Like, we didn't know each other.
Yeah.
I just reached out one day and I just said, hey man, like, I'm
And
down.
how
Are you
good's
keen?
that?
And he was willing enough to give me his time.
Yeah.
And it was really good. Like, we only had an hour to chat, but
Yep.
super knowledgeable dude, like a very like-minded mindset to mine with like working hard and burning the candle at both ends and just fast-paced lifestyle. Stop fucking waiting, stop fucking around. He was really good, man, and super knowledgeable dude and done a lot of cool shit. So hopefully he hasn't said yes, but I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to grab him again when it aligns up better.
Yeah.
So he pulled up with a fucking truck full of house shit, beds and shit in his thing, and jumped out of the car.
But man, how good's that? He gave you his time.
Mad respect, man.
Yeah,
Didn't
mad
know me from a
respect.
bar of soap. Jumped out of the car, grabbed his other bloke, his mate's shirt, put a clean shirt on, and sat in the chair and did a podcast.
So
with me.
I love that shit, man. That's somebody in my eyes, and I know, given from I've never met him, but super humble guy, somebody that's made it in his field, but he's still willing to give some guy that's cracking it from the bottom upwards to give him an opportunity. That's mad respect in my eyes.
100%. And the same goes for
You got to
you,
remember, man, Joe Rogan, like he's fucking no shit. He has been on some big podcasts.
Yeah, and he's done his own too. Like he knows he knows what it takes, and he he even said to me like he only does them face to face.
Yep.
And I have only ever done them face to face
Yeah.
because I feel like it devalues it. Like I don't want to.
100%.
It's not a business thing for me. I do this because I enjoy it,
Yeah.
and I want to sit down and have a conversation. And I literally saying to Carl Jochimson this morning about it.
Yeah.
I want to have we chatted for an hour before we sat down.
Yeah.
Like all that sort of stuff.
Carl's another one, man. For him to give you the time, like it just speaks volumes of the type of guy that he is. You know?
Yep. And he was exactly who I thought he'd be when I met him this morning.
100%.
And like just a super nice, hardworking guy, respectful, like
Hey, and
no
fucking
egos, nothing, man, and super fucking knowledgeable.
puts the fucking miles in, brother.
Man.
You know, he fucking works out hard every day to keep his mental mindset fucking sharp.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Because you got to think, this guy's from Australia in America learning different waterways. That's just fucking on a different caliber.
Yeah. And going from like bass and brim and all that sort of stuff,
Yeah.
working your way through the ranks and then going, fuck it, I'm going to go overseas.
Yeah.
It's huge risk. And then to make it over there in a massively saturated market or industry niche, whatever you want to call it, it's huge, man.
And wait, there's a saying that I live by. What makes you accountable is when you get your driver's license. Sorry, there's a saying is when do you become a man? When you get your driver's license, when you get a degree, when you get a job? No, it's when you become accountable. That's when you become a man, right? You look at guys like, you know, Carl Jochimson that's traveled across the world, learned lakes, learned living in a different country, man. And he's got a wife and a kid that guy knows what it takes to be accountable. Failure does not work in that guy's world, man. He just fucking every day gets up, whether he wins, loses, he's accountable and he knows he's got to perform. That to me is the top of the pecking order of some guy that knows what he's doing. You know, he's committed.
And it's not about bank accounts. It's not about followers. It's not about likes.
That means all fuck all.
It's not about who even knows you. It's like there's men, like real men that I know, and call it sexist, misogynistic, I don't give a fuck. There's men and women, and there's men and women for a reason. I've got no problem with people that want to play in the other realms.
Yeah, if you're happy, man, knock yourself out.
But I'm an advocate for fucking real men, and real men carry burdens greater than anybody else, in 100%. My opinion. And there's a saying, and I wish I could remember it. It's like, I don't wish for a lighter burden. Yeah. I wish for broader shoulders.
Yeah. Wish for a harder life.
Yeah.
That's what makes you broader.
To be able to carry it better.
Fucking knows.
Like,
you know?
Give me all the weight.
Yeah, like people be quick to judge, but man, like people look at Adam, like, and fucking I love it when Adam puts stories on his Instagram or his Facebook where, you know, he does that shit where he'll be like elk hunting and he'll put it on every day what he's doing.
So good.
I fucking love that, man. I'll sit at work in my office for half an hour. I'm like, just don't fucking break my balls. I'm just going to watch Adam for half an hour. Just the shit that he does. I'm like, fuck me, man. Like to go fly across the world, be in bear country, man. Fuck that. Like this thing could come at you 100 miles an hour. Like people take that so lightly. Like this guy's putting himself in country where no guide, no help.
Backcountry elk hunting solo with an over-the-counter tag is insane. And he goes over and he normally kills something. But he goes over 30 days straight.
Then you just seen, man, that he hunted with Cam and Joe.
Yeah.
And people looking at it like, fucking that's cheating. Or there's comments on there that Cam was talking about and Joe were talking about. And I'm like, man, fucking if anyone did a pinch of what Adam's done, they'd break. Who the fuck goes over and hunts elk for 30 days off a public tag? Like that's insane, man. Like that the credibility for that guy is just, it needs to be higher.
100%. And I think like with what I'm doing, like I'm not chasing clout from talking to famous people.
Yeah.
Like I want to talk to them not because they're famous in regards to leverage. I want to talk to them because they've made something from like an incredible something of themselves and the journey to get to that point.
Character,
like,
man.
I made a point to go talk to Adam, and I didn't want to talk about Joe Rogan campaigns because I want to build my business to be able to have the knowledge and the understanding and the respect and
for
value
who you are.
Yeah, and to be able to talk to those them myself.
Yep.
And talk to them about their own journeys.
100%.
I talk to Adam Greentree. Yeah. Like I have no interest in leveraging off people. Like I want to talk to Carl because I've fucking followed him since I was a kid.
Yeah.
He's
from that realm, man. He's from that area.
Similar age. Similar age to me too. Like he's from Toowoomba.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he is. Should fact check that.
I think he is, man.
I'm 99% sure he is.
I'm pretty sure.
But like I want to talk to him because I've followed his journey. I've loved fishing my whole life. And I've followed him and he's been a huge inspiration of mine my whole life.
Yeah.
I want to talk to him for Carl Jocumsen. I don't want to talk to him because he's got a squillion followers and all that sort of shit.
I can relate to that, man, because people might look at this a bit differently. For me, is that I've taken hunting. I want to take hunting on for the main reason is to provide for my family. My wife is very, if you want to call it.
Don't just do it all on a bow, then you'll starve.
That's where the rifle's going to come out. You can call her awake if you want to call her awake, is the modern term. She's very health conscious, which is great. You know what I mean? I think we all should be. You know what I mean? We should stop fucking feeding our kids shit. We should stop fucking doing all this shit that we trust too many people with. We should be all awake, man. Don't even call it awake, man. Call it, just fucking be conscious about what you're doing with your health. What is the most valuable thing in this world? Your health. Without health, man, you're nothing. You're nobody. You go backwards very quickly, you know? So I appreciate that from what she looks after my two boys with. But going back to my point is to provide meat for my family that's free range, right? Meat that I know hasn't got full of hormones and all this shit. The second thing is I would love to shoot a trophy stag, but I'll give you, and I've always said this even with John, if we're in a position where something walked out and it was trophy, I would always give him the shot first. I don't want the Instagram famous shit. I just want to have something that I can lean on to say, fuck, I remember when I shot that animal. A memory. That's all I want, right? I don't give a fuck about the likes, because between me and you, man, I've got a private Instagram account that's got 150 followers. It's private for a reason. And it's private because it's family.
It's sharing your life.
It's friends. I don't want other people seeing my shit. And that's not because that's private, man. Everybody should have a realm of privacy, like we spoke about before. But then there's Bait Rlgn, and Bait Rlgn is I'm happy to showcase everything else. So if I was to shoot a trophy stag or whatever animal it is, I wouldn't go out and brag about it. I would show family and friends, but that's it for me, because that's the realm I want to be in. I'm not an Adam Greentree where I'm an expert, because these guys are experts in their fields, and I'm not claiming to be one. And that's what I was discussing about before when you're looking at LiveScope, is guys using LiveScope, not even doing it the hard way, but just using LiveScope to be experts. There's a small portion of an issue there.
I reckon there is. I tend to agree.
Yeah.
Because if you put those people up and their LiveScope active target shits the bed.
Correct.
And you're in a comp, right? And you're in a comp and there's
no LiveScope.
People like you with traditional sounders, or even just no sounders. And then you've got guys that have been brought up on LiveScope, and we're back here again. We'll fuck off it in a minute because
we'll handball it.
Yeah, we will. So, but you go back onto you've been brought up on LiveScope. You've done nothing else, but your progression is way less. You go into a comp with the guys that have done it the hard way or done it the OG way. And your LiveScope dies.
They got something more up the sleeve, 100%.
Yeah. You've got an added skill in your repertoire, and there's high likelihood that you'll do way worse if you just got LiveScope and you can't read a river or a dam.
It's like Jack Hockey.
Yeah, man.
Come up against him and fucking Lake Moala. You get your ass handed to you, and the rest of it. I'll be honest with you, I hardly fish Lake Moala, but I wouldn't go up against him at Lake Moala. I might get lucky, but I don't get me wrong. I know my fair whack of Lake Moala, but I'm sure he'll turn me inside out. But then if he goes, no, you take me to one of your systems, then I'm sure he'll say the same thing about me. So respect is respect, and you see that everywhere in hunting and fishing. So that's. I just hate when guys take it like we spoke about before. Just don't take it personal, and don't waste energy in bagging people out. I think that's just. I've been bagged out. You've been bagged out. We've all been there. It means nothing.
Water off a duck's back these days, man. I couldn't give a shit. Hit the unfollow button, man.
That's it.
I got nothing to prove to nobody.
100%, man.
And just going back on the whole who we talk to in podcasting and all that sort of stuff, is like, I'll talk to anyone. Yeah. I find everybody interesting.
I've fucking found it interesting that you wanted to talk to me.
And I appreciate the fact that you drove an hour out of your time just to come for the Arvo and have a chat.
I'm thinking, fuck, I'm not that good, am I?
Everyone says the same thing, man, but it's not hard. One, it takes, it's not hard. You have to be a person that's, comfortable to talk.
Yeah.
But also, everyone has a story, and everyone's interesting,
man.
and no one thinks they are until you start talking about it.
100%.
Like, you think about your story, it's incredible, but you probably don't think so.
Yeah, no, I don't.
It's just life for you.
100%.
It's that perspective. I don't care who's on this podcast. I will literally talk to anyone I find interesting, and I find most people interesting. And I find that I'm pretty confident that I could talk to anyone and make a conversation.
You're no different to me, man.
Yeah.
You could talk a leg off a chair, and that's a good thing, because to me, that's a dying art.
I feel like it is.
100% it is, man. 100%. I'm sure you've seen it. There's some podcasts out there where you just don't see the flow. You don't see much happen. And it's like, I don't know about you, but I'm like, I'll listen to a podcast. I'm like, fuck, I wish I would have got more out of that.
Yeah.
Do you get that feeling?
100%. Yeah, because you know the potential of that person, or what their achievements were or something, and then they'll talk about it and sort of play it down.
Yep.
And leave bits out that are super interesting and all that sort of stuff.
The juice of it. Yeah,
and I don't like podcasts being fake. Like I said to you before we got on air, it was not on air, but you know what I mean. But before we started recording, I don't script any of this. I have a couple of facts in my back pocket, just in case the conversation dies, that I can continue it on if I need to.
Yep.
But everything I do is off the fly, and the reason I do it is because I want to learn to be more articulate. I want to learn to get better at conversations.
Yeah.
So what I was doing that I caught myself out on the last podcast or the podcast before is I would do this and I would put my hand down and I would talk on the table when I'm trying to explain something.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, fuck, I did that. I didn't like doing that.
Yep.
So now I'm making a conscious effort of like when I do explain things, still do it with my hands and whatever else, but like actually make eye contact and be better at it.
Eye contact's a hard one, man.
It's super hard.
Super hard.
Because it's not about being nervous, but you want to explain yourself correctly so you understood.
Yep.
So then you try and remove all the other distractions.
Man, I can't vouch for how many young people I talk to today.
Look at their feet.
Fucking, they're looking at fucking Macca's down the road. Like,
limp handshakes and no eye contact have no place on this earth.
I'm like, man, look around, but fucking be present in the moment. You know what I mean? And I think as a species, I feel like, you got to keep that. You got to keep it raw. You got to keep it while we're on, phones and internet. It all has its place, man. It's all here for us. But if you don't have that connection where you can't look somebody in the eyes and have a conversation, it's like, to me, I would say, how do I work on that? How do I get better? And even business, man. Like, business is a lot of that. When you're talking to banks, when you're talking to confidence is massive, man, because if I gave you $5 million tomorrow and I said to you, Wade, what would you do with it? I'm confident you'd say, man, I'd buy a house, debt free. I'd probably then say, all right, I need to put some money away to then make a rate of return so then I can live comfortably and live out a dream. To me, that'd say that's a pretty fucking smart decision. I would then sort of say, what would you do with the money? And you'd say, oh, I'd probably put 80% of it in something that's going to give me a pretty 100% return in terms of blue chip shit, not going to worry about it. But that 20%, I'll take a gamble. And if I said to you, there's 3 guys in the room, they got business proposition. If one of them couldn't look at you in the face and fucking couldn't start a conversation and couldn't mumble, you'd say, fuck that, am I putting $2 million into that, right?
Yep.
Because money changes people when you start, and you can learn a lot in business, right? I've learned that a lot the last 2-3 years being in my family business, dealing with, banks, high-profile companies that, like your Coles and all this type of stuff, people that aren't idiots. Business ruthless, man.
100%. And you have to be. And you have to have a thick skin. It's one thing, and this is one thing my grandfather said, it's one thing to say you have money. It's a whole nother thing to have the money.
Correct.
And it's a whole nother thing to be willing to spend it.
100%.
And the people that are willing to spend it and take the risk, bro.
That's a different level of ball game.
100%.
Fucking, the saying goes, easy to spend, hard to make. Fucking, yeah. I met this old school Greek guy one day, and he said to me, don't worry about what's coming in, worry about what's going out. And I've lived by that motto. What comes in will come in. You'll drive. You're always looking for more business. If I said to you, Wade, just back off, man, don't look for shit, you'll be like, fucking no way, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? You're going to, if you, like you were saying before, fuck, man, February, that's a hectic week. But I'll guarantee you, if someone rang you and said, hey, Wade, I need you that week,
I'd make it work.
You'd be sitting there going, fuck, man, how am I going to fit this in? Fuck, I'll make it work. Yep, bang. Knowing you probably wouldn't sleep for 24 hours and you'd make it work.
Figure it out.
Right, you'd figure it out, right? That to me is somebody, don't worry about what's coming in because it's going to come in. You got the work ethic. Worry about what's going out. Worry about who's fucking you. That's what you got to worry about. Worry about who's taking too much money off you. Bills, fucking automated payments, all that type of shit. That's the stuff you got to worry about. Don't worry about what's coming in.
100%. I tend to agree. And a lot of people in business that I've found have one long arm and one short arm. They'll take with this one and then they'll give with the short arm.
Fucking oath they will.
Always.
That's why we spoke about before, the 50% deposit weeds out a lot of customers quick and early.
100%.
Because 50% deposit means I'm 50% committed.
The people that don't do that are the people that are fucking pains in the ass anyway. They could have $10 million and they won't pay a deposit, and then they're just going to be an absolute pain in the ass for the whole contract and aren't worth the paycheck.
100%. I'm straight up, man. If I can see that you're going to do the job, if you can promise me that you won't fuck me, we're on the same page. I'll pay the 50% deposit. But the minute I know you fuck me, then I'm sitting there saying, well, hang on a minute, man. This relationship is not going to be long-standing. It's probably going to be short-standing, right? My advice to everybody is that you got to get burnt to know what it feels like to get burnt. And
Yep.
when you know when it feels like to get burnt, you think twice about shit, man, before committing to anything.
And never forget.
Never forget.
And never forget what someone did.
Yeah.
Or like just you have to be so switched on to that shit because like you'll come and people will pitch something or say something or we should or I'm gonna or this and that. And it looks amazing at first glance. And then when you sit there and you peel it back a bit and you actually do some thinking and you think about like reputation of
What's
people.
that going to cost?
I always take with people on how they've treated me and all that sort of stuff. And you start really thinking about that, but you still take into account what other people have said and all of the undermining. Like, what's this guy want from this?
Yeah.
Like,
What's his end goal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try and build my business and have built my business on equal growth opportunity for client and myself.
I like that.
And it's never equal 50-50. You
Yeah.
never calculate it. But so like for me, I pitch to clients, why just book us for one job?
Yeah.
Book us for one big job at the start. Let us collect a shit ton of content. Let us overshoot.
Yeah.
And then we've got 12 months worth of stock content for you.
Correct.
And then put us on a semi-retainer type deal.
Yeah.
And allow us to manage your content for 12 months and continue to put work out for you. That way you win from consistent content delivery and production, more sales, all that sort of stuff. All the shit that you can leverage off us for that.
Yep.
I can leverage off it because then I have a retainer client and I get more regular income.
You got business.
It's a win-win.
Correct.
But a lot of clients will go, I'll trade you money for time and you give me this short film or this edit. And that's all fine. But then next year you're going to do the same again and you're not going to promote your business for the rest of the 12 months.
You lose consistency, Wade.
100%. And then your business is not going to grow and then you'll come back and you'll book me for the same thing. And if you're not willing to continue marketing pitch, but if you're not willing to continue pushing your content, there's no point getting it in the first place.
Agree. Because I'll vouch for that, man, right? Bait Rlgn for me, again, hobby. And yeah, it's picked up and it's becoming a little bit more serious, right? But to your point, it's a massive learning curve, man. For me, it's a massive learning curve because exactly what you just said, consistency marketing. I've never been in that realm before and I'm learning and I'm saying, fuck, the consistency, like I've done a couple of days shoots there before with Jamie, right? Where he would just jump on the boat and we'd just go and do a bit of, like we did the videography and all that type of stuff and a few photos. And, I've just given him a bit of DRT gear and all that stuff just to help him out. And what he did for me, I can't thank him for enough because and this is to Jamie too, right?
He's a good kid.
He's a good kid, Wade, man. Mate, super talented. I said to him, man, videography, he's like, I'm not the best with it. Fuck that. Let's put the drone up and let's have a crack, And man, his fucking shit was on point. Now, not to your level, which is understandable because this kid, that's not his full-time job, right? But I said to him, man, jump out there. You're definitely worth every dollar, in my opinion, because you're good at what you do. So, I looked at him and I thought, man, you got so much untapped potential. It could go to here, but I know you're here because you got your limits and there's a lot of challenges. I understand that with other, gear. It's not cheap, man. Camera gear, it's hard, but he's somebody that's got a lot of potential. And, just what he did for me and then utilizing that content, I got that much content, Wade, that I'll just drip feed. I would love to have even more content because everybody does, but he's done enough for me that will last a long period of time.
He's got the camera he's using is my old camera.
That's exactly what he said to me.
Yeah.
So a funny story, man, right? The first morning we met up, we pull up the boat ramp and it's still dark. I'm like, look, man, got live scope. I'm confident we should bang something. And he's like, nah, it's all good. We'll just do as it is and blah, blah, blah. Man, I'm finding multiple big fish, just cruising around. I'm like, Jamie, we're going to fucking smack one of these things, man. Just get ready. And he's got the camera and he's fucking taking all these mad stills and everything. Man, we banged off memory, it was like a 116 and a 110 within 15 minutes, right? He's like, Kish, what the fuck, man? I've never seen this in my life on Lake Eildon. And I'm just like, man, that's live scope, right? Anyway, we spent 2 nights, man, on Lake Eildon. We just got a ton of content. I really enjoyed that trip, man. I really enjoyed it because he's so hard focused on doing it the raw way. And it was good to see a young kid, but it was good to see a young kid, when I say young, younger than me, it was good to see a young kid that still had drive to, you know, do it the old school way, but also so good at what he does, man. Some of the photos he took was fucking really good.
100%, man. And he's like, you talk to him and you don't think, he doesn't feel like he's 20. I think he'd be 20. He'd probably be the same age as you, mate. Maybe 22, 23 or something like that. Like
young
early
man.
20s, right?
Young.
Like you talk to him and you don't think, and it's the same with Kyle and I. Like I can have a full, mature conversation with Kyle.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. And Kyle's what, 22? Yeah.
Fuck, you're old.
And Kyle's exactly the same, like super fishy, old school, like with how he fishes and everything like that. Like I got that when I was younger as well from hanging out with like people that were older than me, and
always hang out with older people.
100%.
Man.
And yeah, and he sorry, I cut halfway through your story, but yeah, he's a legend. He came and shot the expo with me, and
that's how I met him.
Man, oh yeah, true.
Because he come up to me, Wade, and he goes, "Man, I fucking love it. What you're doing." He goes, "I love the brand. I love everything." He goes, "Are you cool if we catch up and I wouldn't mind doing a bit of shooting for you?" I said, "Fucking oath, man." Because I'll be honest with Bait Rlgn, man. My biggest problem right now is trying to do everything is so hard, man. I'll do it. I'm not going to back off. But what I'm doing at the moment, like it's a lot. I've got this vision, man. I'm just like, fuck, I need to take it here, but I can't take it there because I need like what you've got with Kyle. Like I can understand why you've got him.
He is the reason my business exists.
Fuck, man. Give me another one of him. Fucking copy and paste.
If I could clone him, I already would.
Fucking please, you know, because that would help me out, right? Like the point I'm trying to make is somebody like that, I can understand why he's so valuable.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
But what Jamie did for me was, I can't thank him enough. You know?
And he's the person that's willing to do that for nothing too, just because he really enjoys the industry stuff. And he learns too from that. Yeah. Like he worked his ass off for me at that point in time. I needed another person, and I'm good friends with his brother, his older brother, and that's how we knew each other.
He explained that to me.
Yeah. So I've known JMO through his brother. Yeah. Obviously, there's a connection. But like just super good dude to talk to, super polite, super well spoken, like super mature, and very, very creative and very handy. And it's hard to find people with that kind of eye. Like you have it from the start, or you just don't. And you've got to learn it. He's one of those people that you can just give something to, and he'll just compose an image properly without even having to think. Yeah. But yeah, he grabbed my very first ever camera, and he's still got it, and it's still a good camera.
And he told me, because when we were fishing and he was taking stills, he's like, "Fuck, this is Wade's camera." I was like, "Bullshit." He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Fuck, that's crazy." But what you're saying about creativity, like with Bait Rlgn, people say to me all the time, they're like, "Man, do you do everything? Like the designs and that?" Every single design that's come from Bait Rlgn has been 99% of my vision. So like, there's probably 2 designs that I've had designed from an actual artist, because I've got a decent amount of skill, but I don't have that amount of skill, where I've sort of said, this is what I'm envisioning. This is how I want it to look. Let me know how you go. And then they come back and it's like, I like it, but I want this done, and chop it and change it. So I would say at least 99% of the designs come from my manifestation, my imagination. Nothing comes from, here, Wade, here's X amount of dollars. Let me know what you come up with. Fuck that. It's got to be what I manifest, what I vision, because if I'm not envisioning it, I can't use it, because it just, like, I've got designs already that I'm working on in the background, and I've had this, I can't really draw it because there's a fair bit in it, but I'm like to the guy who's got the job, I'm like, man, you've had to cut and do this like 5 times. Because I'm just not happy with it. Like, I have to have the vision of it's going to work. You have to, man. Yeah. You have to. And then I do that, like, with my own edits. I don't think I've ever been truly 100% happy with anything. And then I'm like Kyle's editing is incredible, and he does most of my stuff now. Yeah. And I'm hypercritical of his stuff, and not to be an asshole. Yeah. But like, if I see one thing that's like half not quite right, and there's an opportunity to change it, I'll get him to change it. Yeah. Purely because like that adds up and it makes a difference. Because and this is what I think I say to a lot of people is like, if you've got the opportunity to eliminate
all risk of negativity, right? So let's just use an edit for example because we're on that topic. So say it's an edit and say there's like half a second or a second of something that's just not quite right. Out of focus, it's jumpy or fucking something's wrong. If you've got the opportunity to fix it and you don't fix it and then you put that out and then there's some client that you don't know of that exists and they've got $1 million marketing budget and they're on the fence to reaching out to you to try and book you for work.
That's a
and then they
point.
see that and they go, fuck, that cunt doesn't have an attention to detail because he fucked up and that shot was out of focus. That 1 second of that clip was out of focus.
100%.
And it's $1 million contract, a potential $1 million contract. And that's extreme, right? But it's the 1%ers. And so then for you to take an extra 10 minutes to change that clip out or fix it,
Could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars.
and if you compound that, right, and you continue to do that, just eliminate the risk.
That's it.
Just don't allow yourself don't be lazy. And when it takes 10 minutes to fix something,
Fix it.
and saying that, like I've fucking had Cole. I've
Cole's
had Cole
like,
fully
fucking motherfucker.
fully change edits for me. Yeah, literally cursing my name. But like, if you've got the opportunity to do that and you can afford to or whatever else, there's no excuse.
100%.
There's no excuse. And it's hard. Like in the industry that we're in, it's hard. You have so many uncontrollable variables. We shoot outside. So weather, fish,
100%.
fucking people, like there's so many variables that we can't
Flat
control.
batteries, fucking you name it.
You're limited to weight.
Yeah.
Like go and shoot a hunting film. That's fine.
Yeah.
I could do it if I could bring another 40 kilos of camera gear.
Yeah, and then not make noise.
I got one fucking
Good luck.
camera and one camera and a handful of lenses and a tripod and a stills camera. And
Yeah.
I got to make a full blown fucking documentary. Like shit's hard and it's never going to be, to me, it's never exactly what I want, but it's the best I possibly can do with what I was given.
Yeah.
And if you keep that mentality through everything in life, I think you'll win. Bait Rlgn, because we haven't even fucking scratched the surface.
Bait Rlgn, man. Yeah.
Where, obviously it came from your love of fishing and your love of cod.
Yeah.
Why Bait Rlgn in the first place? Why is it called that?
Bait Rlgn, if I'm honest, so how it did come about, it's a good question actually. My theory was when you step out on that boat and you're at, and I always draw back to Lake Eildon because that's where I did a lot of my hard yards and the Murray, two of them locations. As much as people hate this, it's a fucking grind, right? And it got to the point for me, man, whatever you were casting, whether that be a mag draft 10-inch, whether that be a fucking hard body, wherever that be a HUD, whatever it be a DRT ghost, whatever bait you're throwing, you better fucking believe in it. Because if you don't believe in it, you're already out of the realm. You're not even within the galaxy of catching that trophy fish. So for me, it came with the bait, and then you better be religious with it. And what I mean by that is that you better fucking believe in it. Right? Yeah, so that's where the creativity came from it. So Bait Rlgn was based off the fact that when you enter into that realm, you better believe in that bait. So don't cut it. You know, there's a famous massive swim baiter in America that fishes the bass scene, Chris Zaldane, been a big influence of mine. I remember watching some of these videos about 10, 12 years ago where he talks about tying on a big bait and don't cut it off, Wade. Just go for fucking months and don't cut it off. Just keep peppering away at it. And then that's when I put the two and two together and I thought, if you don't invest in that bait, the time and everything that comes with it, you're not going to be successful. So I thought from a branding perspective, if we can get that whole message in one image, that's where Bait Rlgn came from. So Bait Rlgn probably started, when was it? 2018, 2019. And it set out as a hobby, like I said before, and it still is sort of a hobby on the side. Not that I eventually am taking it a lot more serious now. But the plan was just to do a bit of apparel. Me personally, I think in the fishing side of things, there's not a lot of good, clean looking apparel. That's just my opinion. There is probably now, but you know, back when I was there, nothing that had that streetwear appeal. There was really just those average looking fishing jerseys and so forth. So I wanted to tap into that market and create something that, hey man, that's a fucking sick tee, or you know, they're sick sick pants, they're sick jumper, whatever it might be. You know, I always wanted to get that bit of an edge. I wanted something with cool prints, and I also wanted like to capture designs that reflected what you did. So, for example, when you look at the triple digit hunting design that I've designed, it's literally a zombie holding a big cod. Because to me, that's what represented chasing triple digit fish was you were cooked.
Cooked yourself.
Fucking cooked, man. You know, like you can see the moon, you can see bats flying around, like as in it was a dark place, but you were rewarded, you know? So that's where that design came from. And since becoming the face for Division Rebel Tackle DRT out of Japan for Australia now, and shout out to Tomoya and Kengo and the guys out in Japan for giving me the opportunity, because I was fishing these baits, you know, when they first come out 10 years ago plus. Guys were looking at me like, fuck, you're spending, like I had to spend big dollars to get these baits,
They're
man,
expensive, bro.
eBay and all that, you know? And, I invested money back then, but it paid off now.
Quick question: do those baits? So like the $200, the $400 lures, swim baits, whatever you want to call them, do they represent that equal amount in R&D and research? I understand, like it's not going to be for Murray Cod in Japan, but are those guys putting so much R&D in that those baits become, those handcrafted baits and all that sort of stuff become that valuable?
100%. And the reason why I say that, because when you do your research in Japan, largemouth bass, man, are actually an invasive species.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've noticed, but every Japanese largemouth video you'll see on YouTube, there's never a catch and release. Me and Jamie actually spoke about this.
You have to kill them.
You have to kill them.
Huh.
Yeah. Do they kill them? We'll
Same as
that. Hey, no comment. I can't comment because I don't want the Japanese government to tap onto anything, right? But the point I'm trying to make is, and by the way, I'm not getting that from anyone. That's just from what I know, just personally. They've actually got largemouth bass bins in Japan. So if you catch largemouth bass, they're saying, hey, Wade, just when you get off of the boat there's a bin there, just throw it in the bin. Literally, that's how it is because they're an invasive species. Now, to answer your question, they're that hard. That trophy largemouth bass are pretty extremely hard to catch in Japan, right? Because Lake Biwa, which is like the home of DRT, probably one of the most trophy largemouth bass fisheries in Japan, at times, man, this is what I've been told. I've never been to Japan, but I'm definitely going within the next 12 months. There's instances where there's like 5-10 meters between boats. It's that packed.
Yuck.
Yeah. And your fishing man finesse because they've seen
Everything,
right? Like I'll give you an example, like from DRT, the K9, the Tiny Clash and the Ghost, they're so versatile, Wade. Like I retail a Ghost off the top of my head for about, don't quote me, I think it's like $320, right? Which is expensive. Don't get me wrong. Not everyone has $320 to spend on a swim bait. But if I said to you, you can fish that swim bait 20 different ways, 20 divided by $320, that's pretty good fucking value if you ask me. And I showed Jamie that when we were out because we actually banged a good, decent cod on it. That's what LiveScope's great for. It shows you what attention these baits draw. And if you look at the Ghost, man, it's a massive bait. When you bring it over a cod's head, they just they love it. So to answer your question, the R&D that them guys put into it, imagine putting R&D into a industry where it's so overpopulated and so overstimulated that whatever Wade does, if he doesn't do it differently to the guy next to him, he's got no chance.
That's a good answer.
Pretty fucking hard when you think about it, you know. And that's no disrespect to any of the Aussie guys. Like the Aussie guys design lures to suit their fish, man, and that's cool. But in 100 years' time, we might be $150 million populated country. The design of lures might be completely different, you know.
Very true. So why did you decide? And I think I know the answer, but why did you decide to bring those bespoke high-end Japanese lures into Australia, and why did you think they would work on cod?
The reason why I brought them in was because me personally, I always wanted a point of difference when I was on the water. Not to say that I've never fished anything that everyone else was fishing. I just always wanted an edge. Was that edge 50% better, 100% better? I couldn't give you a figure, but what I knew was, going back to the bait religion theory, was that I had faith in that bait. I knew that it was going to work because it was a different presentation. I think I can back that up now with LiveScope. Guys are saying to me, I'm throwing X. I believe they've seen X that many times that I need something different. Don't get me wrong, that's not a valid 100% answer because they're still eating that same lure. But what that angler is experiencing on the boat, they can only vouch for.
Yeah, 100%. It's all perspective.
It's all perspective, right? So to answer your question, yeah, I definitely think they had a point of difference, and I think they have a point of difference for guys that want to use them. Like there's a guy that a loyal customer, Jimmy, up in Queensland. Man, flathead, barra, jewfish. He's willing to step out and try different cool Japanese shit on species that no one else would probably think of doing.
And they've probably never seen that lure before either.
And they haven't. And he's smashing decent sized flatties on the flats. He's fucking jewfish on a K9. Like, fucking hell. Like I said to him, I said, man, that's epic. Cool. Good on you. Like, keep going. I love seeing you reach out and do cool stuff, you know? And I think that's where it's going with Bait Rlgn, man, is I'm not the biggest, I'm not the best, but I'm willing to give guys the opportunity to explore in the realm of different baits from America and Japan. Will I stock Australian baits? 100%. But I just would love to know what's the good of me of stocking something that everyone else has got. That's just my view, man. And I'm not saying I have to always have that view. There might be baits that someone makes that they have to distribute to an X amount of tackle stores as well as myself. I respect that. I'm not saying it has to be me or only me, but what's the point of me stocking something that anyone else can buy anywhere on such large scale and volume anywhere on the internet? Just doesn't add much value to me is my opinion. Now, is it a custom color? Yeah. All right. That sounds like it's worth it for me, because if it's a custom color to Bait Rlgn, well, then it makes sense to come my way. But if it's not, I could jump onto any tackle world, wherever else, and buy it. And that's understandable because that market caters for it. And I think that's good.
Yeah, well, it's a different. You're sitting in a different spot in the market completely compared to like big retailers and franchises, right? It's very different.
100%.
What do you want to turn it into?
That's a good question, man. My wife asks me that all the time. The day I finish up with whatever I do with my brothers and my family, I reckon that's what I want to do full time, and that'd be Bait Rlgn, and that would be creating sick content in your field, being able to still distribute high-end quality tackle from overseas and in Australia, and then just set a standard of it's a brand that is unique. Not unique and arrogant, but just unique that it's in its own playing field. That you can sort of say it stands over there in the corner because it's nothing like anything else in Australia.
And you'll have those kind of bespoke industry, they exist everywhere in every industries. Man. And you'll have a cult following. Well, you probably already do, but you'll have a cult following, and it'll be a smaller amount of people.
Yeah.
But it'll be religious, die-hard people that contribute to the brand immensely, that 100%. Give you feedback, that do your R&D, that help you 100%. Market. Like, and that's the difference. And I was talking to Carl about this morning too, is like, I got told that I'd never make anything of this business, just purely focusing on the outdoors scene. And I'd have to do real estate and I'd have to do weddings and
to prop it up.
Yeah. And multiple people told me that. And I do them things. Yeah. Do them things. Good English.
But it's not 90% of your business.
Nah, and it wasn't at the start. Yeah. I never did it.
Yeah.
I was like, fucking watch me.
Yeah. And you proved them wrong.
It was brutal, but I got there.
Man, I started Bait Rlgn on $500.
Yeah.
And now I've got DRT on board, 86 baits out of America, and Pitch and Strike out of Spain, which is Ken, right? Yep. These companies have some big visions. If I can just be a platform for them in Australia, I've done my job. Will I do a shit job? Fuck no. I'll do the most I can do, and they're very happy with what I do, and I'm not happy. I feel I can do more, but they're happy. But that doesn't mean we should level up and say, oh, that's all we're going to do. We're always going to strive it further and take it further. But reality is, I don't want to dip my toes into a market position where I just become another part of anything. I want to be unique. And if that means organic, if that means slow growth, I'm okay with that.
But it also means authentic.
Authentic, man. Exactly right. Like I've got plans next year to come up your way and do more barra. I want to start fishing a lot more of that stuff on the barra. Will it work? People will tell me no. No worries. I'll give it a shot. You know what I mean? I'm willing to go out and dip my feet into unnecessary, cold, unforgiving places.
I can tell you now it'll work. There's certain circumstances where baits built for barra or specific stuff will work better. But I can guarantee they'll work in a lot of circumstances.
Yeah. And I've got guys up there doing it now telling me it's working.
Yeah.
And they're purposely telling me, and I'm, don't tell anyone. Because they don't want to know it's
you just
working.
fucked that up.
Well, I didn't tell them who they were, and I didn't say where they're doing it,
Yeah,
right?
true.
But what I'm saying is that it is working, right? And that's fine. Like, I respect that because I'm that guy too where I remember when, I'll say this now, I've got baits that people don't know about that have fucking annihilated cod the last 12 months. And I haven't said shit.
Good.
Right? That's born in you.
It's back in your product too. Like I know like a lot of the stuff that you're getting someone else's product, but it's like you're doing the R&D. Yeah. So that before you put it live, it has to work.
100%, man.
People value that shit.
Like, I'll give you an example, man. The Frenzy, I should have bought one. 17 inches, bro. It's fucking big bait, man, right? This thing has been engineered and designed at 10 ounces only. Find me a 17-inch bait anywhere in the world that weighs less than 10 ounces. I bet you can't find it. The DRT Frenzy is the only one that can do it, right? The point I'm trying to make, these guys, going back to your point about point of difference, fuck the engineering that went into that. Hollow chambers, to fill water, to put density in the bait. Man, that's just like a next level form of engineering. These guys are super smart dudes. They're not dickheads, right? That's the start. Where are we going to be in 10 years' time? And I already know some of the shit they're working on is next level.
Sorry, you go.
And what's to come, don't worry about me. You guys, the Australian public that support, to your point, the following that support Bait Rlgn, be excited because what's going to come over the next 10 years from these guys is only going to benefit you as well as me.
100%. And the thing is, like, it's one thing to develop a really good product and then you're essentially testing that product in the Australian market, but you fish, right? So you don't want to put out average shit and you're not here to make money at this point in time. Like, your heart's in it, right? And the money's a byproduct of that.
100%.
So you know what you're selling, or people should know what you're selling is going to be good and it's going to be backed and it's going to work.
Yep.
Because you've put in the work and you are a fisherman.
Yep.
And you care about the industry.
Yep.
Which I think is rare. A lot of people get into
just to sell shit.
Yeah, and they fucking couldn't tie an FG knot to save themselves.
100%.
Like, that happens a lot in every industry, I think. Yeah, it's incredible, man, what you're doing. I think it's very impressive and it's very unique. Like, I don't know anyone out there that's doing what you do. Yeah,
without pissing in my own pocket, I'd have to agree with you because, and you know what? That doesn't mean that I don't encourage people to do it. I encourage everyone to do what they want, you know. And I'll take my hat off to the guys that are doing it that are probably more into that broader spectrum of the field. I'll take my hat off to them because it's not that easy too, you know. So good on them and keep going and keep fighting and keep doing what you're doing. But with Bait Rlgn, I'll continually do what's best for that business. I won't do, this lure dropped, everyone's got it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to jump into that realm, man. If it's not going to suit what I need and what I've got to do, it's not for me, man.
And I feel like I repeat myself every single podcast, but I said this on, I think it was a chat with Kyle. Like, there is enough room in the game.
Cake for everyone.
Everybody, bro.
100%.
And the cake, it's not like you're dividing a cake that's a fixed size.
Yeah.
It just gets bigger.
100%.
And you get someone that goes in there that's doing exactly what you're doing. It pushes you to be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's competition and you're probably going to lose some customers. But you'll probably gain some more too.
100%.
And you just stay authentic and true to yourself.
Yeah.
And you focus on doing what you need to do well.
Yeah.
And the rest will fall into place. And people will just go and do their thing. And they might shit on you. They might not. Just be quiet.
Man.
Stay in there and just continue.
Keep fucking chipping away, right? I know cunts shit on me. I'm okay with that, right? But one thing I'll say, man, is that even with where I'm at now with Bait Rlgn, I'll never shit on anybody else publicly or privately because I just think to myself, what do I gain out of that?
It hurts the industry.
It hurts the industry. Bait Rlgn, man, I say, like, I'll give you an example, right? And everybody can vouch for this because I've had people message me and they're like, hey, man, fuck, I've put an order in and it hasn't been shipped yet. I'm a one-man operation, man. I could be 2 days behind on shipping because I'm working full-time. I'm a dad. I've got all this other shit going on, but I will fucking ship it. It might just be a day or two late. The minute I say that to them, ultimate respect. Hey, man, don't stress. All good. I got the best customers, right? I got to say thank you for that. But the other thing too is I always ask myself, what the fuck would you do if you were a customer? I wouldn't be happy.
No.
I wouldn't be happy. I'd ask the question. I've had a good customer of mine purchase a ghost that was $320, and he said to me, hey man, I'm going to be honest with you, I fished it. I don't have the rod heavy enough. Not for me at this point in time. Can I refund it? Lure's opened, scratches all over it. No worries, man. Send it back. I'm not willing to give you a refund, but I'll give you a store credit. Awesome. Thank you very much. I take that lure back in. I'll do something with it. That to me, I can't do it for everybody, but if I can do it for majority of people because they actually enjoy what they fish, I feel like I'm getting better at what I do.
Again, it's that perspective thing, and that happens in my industry too. Like, I'll have clients that hit me up like, hey man, how's that edit going, and all that sort of stuff, and none of them give me a hard time.
No.
And I'm sure they all would prefer their edits to be done a lot quicker, but we're not as big as what we look.
You haven't got 15 people editing shit.
No, I wish.
Yeah.
I'd just about take it if 15 people reached out. Don't worry. But the clients that do that and you give them an explanation, they're totally fine.
Yeah.
And you need to understand where they're coming from. And like, they don't know your circumstances.
They don't.
At that point in time, they have no idea. So they might think you're being lazy. They might think you're busy. They might not know.
100%.
The moment you clarify that, and they trust you, and a lot of our clients trust you. Our local clients, like, I don't even think that they look anywhere else.
Yeah.
One,
they just go straight back to Wade.
every year.
Yeah.
I've got clients that I've had since I started.
That speaks volume.
And like, a lot's changed since then, our quality of work and all that sort of stuff. But our quality of work's always improved. Our level of service is always improved. Our attention to detail is always improved. Our communication's always improved.
You're getting better year on year.
Yeah, because you can't rest on your laurels. Because there will be somebody one day, and there will be some kid that will have a camera, and he'll start something in North Queensland, and he's gonna push the boundaries, and I'm gonna be ready, and I will welcome that kid with open arms.
He'll do it cheaper.
Yeah,
He'll do it quicker, and then you got to say to yourself, okay, where do I respond to them two factors?
100%.
How you do that will define how your business is built on. What
100%.
morals.
And I've said this to Kyle as well, is like, if he wants to go out and do his own thing with what he's learned and built and grown, I'll lend him camera gear if he wants to go out and do it himself.
Because you know it's not easy.
It's not easy, but I also know he will, if he wants to, and he knows this too, is he can definitely do it by himself.
He's a very skillful guy.
Extremely.
He's trying to get a pay rise now.
Very true. But he definitely could. Like, he could easily go and do this himself.
Yeah.
Because it's not about, I don't want to, like, and this is where a lot of people get it wrong too, is like, keep it all myself and all that sort of stuff.
You think it's going to keep the blueprint. Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
You have to be, like, you have to train people and teach people and give people enough to take your job, because then you can't grow if you stay doing everything yourself.
Sustainability, man.
100%. Yeah. And like, if Kyle wants to go and do that, I would dead set lend him gear to go and do his job and chase it himself if he wants to do that.
100%.
But in the same breath, the offer's on the table to give Kyle an opportunity to have a slice of this business if we can build it big enough
and grow it together.
It's not ready yet, but when it gets to the point where I can give him a slice, I will offer that slice. Yeah. And he will not have to pay a penny to buy in, because he's put blood, sweat and tears into the business as much as I have. Yeah,
but that's where you'll, and I'm going to say this directly to you, not Kyle, if he's smart enough, which I think he is, he'll value that. Because I can tell you right now, man, if someone said to me, the value of the business is X, I'll show you X, this is what it's going to take to do it, but I'm willing to give you this at this or whatever there might be, the math adds up very quickly that route's going to be an easier route.
Yeah.
When I say easier, as in go out on your own and do it all, you've been there and done it. You fucking know the mountains you got to climb. Now you're willing to give a young bloke an opportunity to go past all that and take it to another level. You'd be,
100%.
Yeah.
It's like the money is like the not on the forefront of my mind. I enjoy business. I enjoy working hard, and I enjoy trying to challenge myself to learn new things. And the business side of it, I could literally own a laundromat, and I would be invested in it because I like the idea of trying to make money. It's not about the actual bank account.
Yeah.
I don't really care. And and I've said this 100 times too, is like, I don't care if I'm on my deathbed and I've had enough of this, I would dead set give it away. If my daughter doesn't want it, I'll give the keys to some ambitious kid.
And move on from that chapter.
Money's no good to you, Dad.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. What are you going to do with it in the graveyard?
Yeah. I'll obviously keep enough aside to retire or to set my daughter up and all that sort of stuff.
Have enough that's going to give you a comfortable life.
A comfortable. And I like the idea of having enough money to not have to think about money.
That's a good way of thinking about it. 100%.
I don't care what that amount is. Yeah. I just want to not have to think about it.
And not be trapped in the system, man.
Yeah. It's a necessary byproduct. For me, my goal is to make money a necessary byproduct of doing what I love.
Yeah.
It's not about how much is in your bank and I'm worth this and the business is worth this and I sold it for this and I fucking know all these people. Fuck that.
Yeah. That means nothing to you.
No.
Yeah.
Because when you're sitting there at 80, 90 years old, there's not much left of you, you're nearly dead, what are you going to appreciate most?
What do you want to be remembered for?
What are you going to be remembered for? And who was there on the journey? And who gave you time of day and what did you learn?
I think that hits at a point in time, man. Like you see people probably over the age of 60, I reckon. I reckon that's a sweet point where the attitude changes. And the attitude changes quick, man. Yeah. Fuck, I should have done that or I should have done this or you know what, I'm doing this now. And you see this big emotional shift physically and mentally where you start to realise, fuck, there's not much time left. And that's when you start realising, to your point, I should have done this a lot earlier. But that's life, man. And that's why conversations like this hopefully open up people's eyes.
I really hope so. I really hope so. If this, like conversations like this can just help one person, like I'd be stoked.
Yeah.
And I get messages about my podcast like regularly. I got literally, I keep bumping this mic. A dude messaged me from the UK. Did not know he existed for years. And he was a religious follower of the podcast. And it literally, one of the podcasts with Guthrie is the one he mentioned. He sent me this massive message on Instagram.
Is that Mick?
Mick Guthrie,
Mick, yeah.
Massive message on Instagram about how grateful he was for me doing the podcast and all that sort of stuff. And a specific episode that we did put him on the path to refinance his home, start his own business, and like fully, like he was in this job, massive job, working huge hours, hated it, yada, yada. And he was like, that was the kick up the ass he needed to go and get after it.
How good's that?
And like he was super grateful for it. And I'm super grateful for people like that because that makes me more motivated to do it more.
Yeah.
And I put everybody on the same playing field. Like I want to talk to Joe Rogan. I'd love to talk to Cam Haines, but I will equally just go around the block and talk to someone around the corner.
Yeah.
Like,
and then that gives you perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It gives you perspective of somebody that's got nothing and willing to drive and get something. And then gives you the other end of the scale that's got everything, but is still not satisfied and prepared to give more.
Your worth is not what's in the bank account. It is not the amount of followers and fame you have. Your worth is the impact you make on the people that you care about.
Yeah. I think that's a solid one, man. I'd have to agree with that.
I literally just made that up just now, but that's fucking
Can we
how
fucking quote that one and put it on an Instagram post?
I literally just made that up. That's dead serious though.
Mel's even thinking, fuck, this guy's smarter than what I thought. Far out.
Sometimes I come up with all right ones.
Fucking words of wisdom, brother.
Man, it's true. Like it's hard to put it into words a lot of the times. And a lot of people think you're silly. A lot of people don't get it. And you try and talk that philosophical life, mindset, mentality stuff. And people think you're stupid. But it's the same people that work a 9-to-5 job, hate their life, have 6 beers of an afternoon, do fucking nothing. And go on the weekend and watch TV.
But you know what, man? You'll never change that person.
No. And I've accepted, over the last like 3, 4, 5 years, I've accepted that.
100%.
And I don't go out of my way about talking about it unless it's going to influence someone in a positive way. Otherwise, I'll just leave it be. And I'll have, how's the weather this morning chat with somebody. No problems.
Yeah.
I'll have it and I won't go any deeper than that, and that's totally fine. But the people that get it, get it.
Yeah, because you go that step further, conversation about the weather, then you start talking about the whole different level side of things that just go straight over the head.
100%. And they don't get it. They feel, a lot of time people feel threatened by that. Like,
100%.
this dude's hyper intelligent or whatever. And I'm not. Yeah. I'm not super smart. I've put a lot of effort into trying to be smart and try and learn to be smart. And because I identify, like, I know that there's more knowledge. Yeah. There's more to see. There's more to do.
Yourself?
There's more to learn.
Yeah.
There's more to build. There's more to grow. 100%. And this might not get big at all. Flow state, the podcast might not get big. But I'm not going to know if I don't start doing it.
Yeah, but let me then throw the counter back and say, how are you meant to measure that? How do you know, like, yeah, you can look at views, you can look at listens, you can look at downloads, you can look at all this data, right? Yeah, that's great. But all it takes is one to change it all overnight, man.
And you've got to have your cards on the table to have that opportunity.
Correct.
And you're not going to get it by not putting yourself out there, by not putting the effort in, or by not committing to doing something.
There's a saying, once you start dancing, you can't stop. You can't stop. You got to keep going, man, because if you keep dancing, then you get the main show. And that main show is the breaking point.
Literally one decision. You get picked up by the right company or the right company or the right person or whatever. Or say like, hey, man, I want to invest in your business.
Yeah.
I want to start it in the US. I want to do this. I want to do that. Immediate, like...
growth.
Exponential growth.
Yeah. What would you do if a Rio Tinto or a BHP or from a corporate level said, hey, man, we want you... Man, that contract could be millions.
Legit.
You know, and that could change your business overnight. Purely because the guy who had it isn't hungry enough anymore. He's complacent. That's for you to swoop in and take that, you know?
So I intend on having the foot on the gas until I physically can't anymore and create as many opportunities as I possibly can and give myself the options to choose.
Yeah.
And put myself out there and have me visible from any aspect. Like, this podcast is another thing. Like, I was like, didn't want to put it on YouTube. It's a lot of effort to do all these cameras and lights and shit.
It's massive, man.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of effort. 2 hours fucking around with this stuff, trying to get it right. Because they're doing it in different spots. You're trying to figure it all out. And it's still not 100%. And I'm still working it all out. Like, each episode's sort of improving. But the first 40 episodes are only done audio. Mm-hmm. But I did make a rule to only do it face-to-face because it gives me more value. And then I'm like, man, you're just being lazy. You've got all the gear. Bring the cameras and start filming it.
It's like a byproduct of what you do.
Legit. And then if it takes off on YouTube or someone picks a snippet up and makes a reel out of it or all that sort of stuff,
sends it off on its way.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I might get picked up by somebody else.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that because I was just about that, just to add that in. The work and the field you're in, man, the beauty of it is the work speaks for itself. What I mean by that is I can watch, like I'll give an example. The work you did for Irukandji with GFAB stuff infiltrated, I knew straight away that was your work.
Did you?
All the way. Just because of the quality, right? I knew straight away that is not a cheap piece of work. It speaks for itself. You don't have to sit there and drive it. You don't have to sit there and sell it. That is, to me, how the future of business is going to work, right? Technology is going that way. It makes sense that what you're doing with the podcast, what you're doing with your everything outside of it, your general video stuff, it all adds value. And I feel like if you just keep chipping away, keep chipping at that rock, eventually it's going to crack and the next opportunity will open. And I always say this, I always do this to me. I manifest a lot. That's just what I do. If you don't have a dream and you don't visualize where you're going, you need to sit down and think about that and think what am I working towards? What's the goal, right? What do I visualize? Do I visualize myself in a Ferrari? Do I visualize myself in a homestead like fucking Yellowstone? What is it, right? What's going to drive you to be happy every day, to say, I'm having a cunt of a day, but I'm still happy because I'm just picturing my dream, right? If you've got that, you're unstoppable, in my opinion, you know?
I 1,000,000% agree. And think big. Dream blue sky.
100%.
The stupidest, most massive thing you can think of.
100%.
Put that as the goalpost and work towards it. And you might not get there. Who cares? But you're not going to die wondering. And you have to have the mentality what if it does? What if it could?
You won't be thinking about it. I can tell you that. You're doing it.
You're not going to, if you don't do it, like, or put steps in place or put the work in towards it, or just take the step. A lot of people, they're taking the first step's the hardest for everyone. But
couldn't agree more.
But what if it does pay off?
Yeah.
What if it does change your life forever for the better?
Yeah.
Like, what if it does win? Like, out of all the bullshit that's gone on in my life, bullshit's not the right choice of words. A lot of the last 12 months, 2 years have been absolutely brutal for me. And 90% of it is because of my poor decisions and my poor outlook on a lot of things and my lack of accountability and bad decisions that I've made that have cost me a lot. I had every opportunity to drop this business and I wanted to. Like, I wanted to. Every single day I hated it. I wanted to so badly. But I had a responsibility to myself because I committed to it. I have clients is another one. I had a responsibility to my dad who passed away and gave me the gifts that I have, most of the gifts that I have to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
I had a commitment to Kyle who just sort of committed. He committed
Young
immensely.
future.
Yeah, his future and his love for the industry and all that sort of stuff. Have a commitment to my daughter to show her that there's more to life than working a 9 to 5, and that you have choices and that you have options and that you can do big things if you hope and dream. And I don't want her to ever have to worry about money and all that sort of stuff. If I stopped,
all that shit would go down the drain, man.
It's impossible for me to achieve it.
100%.
And I still might not now, but if I don't stop, I give myself the most opportunity to be able to achieve it.
You can't. To answer that shortly, if you didn't try, you're 100% guaranteed to fail.
That's that saying.
So if you try, there's your 99% chance of failing. There's 1% that you'll succeed. You're still better than not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, it's you have a 0% chance of succeeding
100%,
if you don't stay.
So
committed.
you just do a little bit, like Goggins said, when he transformed into a Navy SEAL, he said, well, what happens if I fail and I don't become a Navy SEAL? If you don't become a Navy SEAL, you lost 100 pounds, 180 pounds. You're fit, you're healthy. As far as I'm concerned, that's not a loss. So to your point, if you continually keep chipping away and even if you fail, hey, at least you built something. It might have taken you to here, but you learnt a lot, built your character, built you as a person, learnt a lot of lessons. Like you said, the most valuable things aren't always money, aren't always materialistic. You know, you can always add that value into the next generation. That might be your daughter.
And that's what I plan to do. And I've met some incredible people through this journey. I've been all over the world.
Look who you've interviewed, man. Carl Jochimson tomorrow.
Yeah,
Adam Greentree. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
There's some big names, man. You should be proud of that.
And it's all just for putting yourself out there. Like, I'm nobody.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to send them a message and see.
What's the worst thing that can happen?
I was like, hey, man, super random.
No.
I don't know if this will get to you, but
big deal.
I'm doing this. If you got the opportunity, I'd love to have a chat.
And you know what, man? Joe Rogan would have said the same thing when he messaged Adam Greentree.
Probably.
Fuck, man, this guy could probably say no. Probably said the same thing when he sent it to fucking Adam Sandler. Probably said the same thing when he sent it. Donald Trump.
He called Donald Trump and Donald Trump said yes.
Yeah. Called fucking Kamala, and that's a different fucking...
That was a show. Fuck. But and a lot of the stuff I'm reflecting on from the conversations I had with like Ian Miller and Carl Jochimson this morning was like, you don't know if you don't ask, and everyone starts from nothing. It's just the people that don't stop.
100%, man.
That win. What
the fuck is guaranteed in this life? Tell me.
You're guaranteed to die.
Fucking guaranteed to die and pay for Albanese's fucking holiday houses. Fuck that. I can tell you that right now, brother. I'm happy to die because we're all going to die one day. But, you know, what my old man always said from a young age, never be scared of death, right? Just fucking keep going, man. Don't hammer, don't stop, right? But fuck me, like, and my old man still says that to this day. What's the worst thing that can happen? They say no. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Move on, pick yourself up, and move forward. Man, like, there's been times, like, when you talk about manifestation, but then also reflection. In our family business, in horticulture, shit can go bad real quick. Cloud could come over, you get hail, you fuck the whole crop up, see you later, right? can 2 minutes, everything can be finished of 9 months worth of hard work. It's happened before. We'll sit there with my brother and we'll just go, oh, well, it is what it is. What do you want me to do? Go out there and catch every single fucking hailstone? No.
What are you going to do with it?
You want me to go spend $10 million on netting? Well, I can't do that. It is what it is. We will do everything in our power to limit the risk, but unfortunately some things just aren't controllable. Now, I'll say to myself, going back to reflection, fuck Wade, this is bad, man. My mind's ticking. Fuck, what are we going to do? Fuck, how am I going to do this? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, right? Get through and I reflect and I go, what the fuck was I stressing about? Whoa. And then I go, let me grab that, put that over here, read David Goggins' books, read all these mental health books, and you start to realize the brain just wants to fuck you. That's what it wants to do.
It wants safe.
It wants to say, Wade, give up. Go jump in bed, fucking just shut up, be a little pussy and don't think about nothing. That's what it wants to do. If you can overpass that, you'll soon realize that all that worry, all that doubt, all that anxiety meant nothing. Now, can you completely get rid of it? Probably not. But if you can get rid of 90, 80, 60% of it, 10%, you're doing better than what you were. Because my wife says to me all the time, she goes, fuck, you can handle pressure so good. And I just say, I've learned to understand that this is life.
I thrive in that motherfucker.
If you don't take it, that's your problem, not mine. I'd say people are good at throwing problems on you because they can't handle it.
Emotion, man, like people think that you need to bottle it up or hide it or whatever. You need to just allow yourself to feel it. Acknowledge the fact that it's there.
That's it.
Don't let it control your decisions.
Yeah.
The fact is, like, people let emotions control the decisions that they make.
Yeah.
That's where they fuck up.
100%.
No good decision is made with emotion. I don't care what anyone says.
100%.
Argue with
Pick
me
your
as
battles.
much as you like.
Couldn't agree more.
Have your feelings, have your sad, have your anxiety, have your fucking whatever, depression, call it whatever you want. Have whatever you want to have. Anger, everything. Acknowledge it, feel it, because you're allowed to feel it.
100%.
Be sad, go cry, yell at it, punch a hole in the wall, do whatever you want. Then put it to the side.
Thank you.
And fucking get on with it.
That's it.
And
100%.
make decisions for the long term.
100%. You know, it's like when I think about, going back to my point before about reflection, I feel like reflection is so important on matters like that because that's how you grow and get better, right? But if you can't move on, if you are somebody that holds grudges, like we said before, never forget. But the difference between never forgetting and holding a grudge is two different sides, man. So in other words, Wade got fucked. All right, got done on a business deal, promised this, didn't do this, had to chase payment. I'll never forget that. But then when that customer comes back around to Wade, I'm not going to hold a grudge. But I know how I'm going to deal with it differently so I don't get fucked. I'll still happily take your business, but I know how I'm going to do it differently. That is what life is all about. If you're going to hold grudges, if you're going to be negative, if you're going to do all this shit, you're not going to get anywhere, man. That's why I don't hate anybody, because hate is a strong word.
It carries a lot of weight, an unnecessary weight that you have to carry yourself.
Well, Jocko Wilson says a really good saying. The ones that have been to war know what it takes in war. The ones that say, let's go to war, have never been to war. And he's fucking spot on. Until you've been in the trenches in terms of, I'm not talking physical and God bless to everybody that's fought in war. I'm talking about mentally every day when you say, oh, fuck that person, I hope, XX, I hope you died. Like, what the fuck are you saying, man?
Someone else loves that person, man. Like,
exactly right.
And there's some, like, that person's probably got kids or something that love them dearly.
Yeah.
And you're going to wish death upon
Look,
that person.
that just makes no fucking sense to me, right? So when you hear people say that shit, to me, you're small-minded. And I'll still respect you for who you are, but I'll know you're a small-minded person.
There's a lot of pieces of shit in the world, and there's a lot of people that deserve a lot of bad things. But also, like, need to be careful about they're just not your kind of person. They might be a bad person,
Correct.
but I bet you they got friends.
I bet you they got a mum and a dad.
Yeah.
I bet you they got a brother or a sister, or if they're the only child, they've got an uncle or an auntie that loves them, that they look up to.
And you pity those kind of people too that are doing that sort of awful
man.
shit to people. You pity those people. You think like how miserable is your life
To hate somebody that
to
much.
want to be doing and saying that kind of shit about people.
And I think that just defines who you are as a person, in my opinion. And, you know, life's too short for that shit. Like my old man said, always keep things civil. And I couldn't agree with him anymore. Keep it civil. The more civil it is, Wade, I can walk in a room, me and you might not see eye to eye, but I can keep it civil. I can shake your hand and say, hey, man, how are you? Good, short talk, move on. But we don't have to hate each other to the point where we can't be in the same room. That's just, I think you're just exactly what you said. You've created unnecessary pressure for yourself.
You 100% have. And then you grab those red flags from that bad experience and you keep them in your back pocket and
Correct.
you remember. So then when they pop up again with somebody else or another client or another friend or potential friend, whatever, you know what to look for. There's winning and learning. There is no failure unless you stop.
Yeah.
Unless you let that define you, failure doesn't exist.
Well, isn't failure learning?
Should be.
If you're failing, you're learning. You got to fucking F on the test, reset it. That's like me. When I was going through uni, right, studying with, obviously making mates through the course, and then studying with these kids that came from, you know, wealthy families and so forth. I used to go into exams, man. Like, used to practice because they were theory exams. So like they were face to face. Like, hey, Wade's gonna lie on the bed, crack his neck in front of me. So it's like you're sitting there, man, fucking third year in uni, and you're fucking, you know, I've got to crack this guy's neck, man. If there's not a crack, fuck, like I'm going to get a fail, right? Because that's what it used to be based on too, was how good your technique was, patient communication, and if they hit an audible crack or not. I used to walk, man, when we were practicing, I was fucking arrogant. Like I was cocky arrogant. Like, yeah, fucking go in there, not saying them words, but like, you know, I was confident. And I just killed everything. Don't mistake that for being cocky and arrogant. Just know that I wasn't going to allow someone in a higher position than me to say I wasn't good enough.
Yeah, confidence is thinking you're good enough or better.
That's it.
Ego is when you think everyone else is less.
And you haven't done the work.
Yeah, that's the difference.
That's the difference. I did the fucking work. I did 8, 9, 10 hours a day studying. And I knew that I would go in there, and confidence can throw people off, man. When you go into an exam and you're confident, the fucking examiner's like, fuck, I can't get him. He's not vulnerable. Like everything I'm throwing at him, even though he might not answer it directly, he's throwing it off and answering it a little bit differently. And how you got to, it's me versus you in the room. So if I'm answering everything you're giving me, but I'm also doing it that good that you feel like you're wasting your time and you're thinking, fuck, I should have been done with this cunt fucking 5 minutes ago. He's answering everything. You're wasting your time. They get frustrated. And I worked that out over time. And I thought the more confident you are, the less vulnerable you are, and the less they'll attack you.
It just is another one of those 1%ers. You control that.
100%.
You control one of the variables, and it puts you in better stead to get what you need to get.
100%, man.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Let's touch on cod fishing for a bit because we haven't really talked a lot about fishing. And I'm super interested in that.
What do you want to know?
Oh,
I'll give you a bit of
all
juice.
The secrets. No, I'm just keen to see like your journey with it all.
Yeah.
Obviously, you cut your teeth in the local lakes and dams and stuff around here.
Yeah.
What made you pursue Murray Cod in the first place? Is it just because they were available in your local area and they're endemic to Australia?
Yeah. I fell in love with them from a young age, as I spoke about before, but the fact that they get so big and fat would be probably the most attractive thing. They're apex predator. You know what I mean? Like chasing something that was an apex just sort of didn't resonate with me as much. So being an iconic Australian fish, there's a lot of history there with, you know, Murray Cod being in the Murray River. I was always attracted to that. And I remember as a kid, man, I was addicted. Like I was like, fuck, I'd be looking at a snag and I'm like, what lives in there? I just wish I knew what lived in there, you know, and I always just imaginated that it was this big, massive cod, right? And I remember fishing waterways where there was no big cod, but I had the aspiration that there was big cod in there. So for me, yeah, I think the Australian heritage and being such an iconic fish that there's nowhere else in the world probably drew me the most towards them. And just how hard they were to catch, man. You know, like it's like mulloway. People are so attracted to them because they're so hard to catch. And
they're beautiful, man.
Beautiful. I've never caught one, so I can't.
I mean, cod, but both. Yeah.
Cod are beautiful, man. Cod are so special. Like, there's something about them in terms of being camouflaged with their pattern. I don't think we know enough about them, if I'm honest. Hats off to fisheries, but no disrespect. I still don't think they know enough about them, which is good because we need to continually learn. But I really think they're a special fish because they've been around for such a long time. You know, you talk to people in their 80s, 90s, and they talk about fishing back then for Murray Cod. You know, it's just such there's generational stories, you know. Used to eat ducks off the top of the water. Used to, people talk about hanging dead kangaroos over trees and the maggots would fall in the water and the big cod would feed off the maggots. Yeah. You know, like stories like that as a kid attracted me to them. And I remember the first meter fish I caught off top water, it was just like shaking. Like it was just something that still to this day, I remember it like it was yesterday, as they say. So, you know, I remember it's funny you talk about chipping away, and with cod in particular, prior to Live Scope and Copeton Dam, another pinnacle trophy hunting dam. We used to do a trip there once a year, and it was about, don't quote me, I think it was about 17, 18-hour trip from here. So we used to drive up and take the boat and stay there for at least a week and a half. And I remember one trip, all the boys smacked. Like they just got over good. Everyone hit a meter fish, and that was everyone's first meter fish but me. I hit the mark at like 98, and then I had one good fish on top water that I dropped. And I remember coming back and I was fucking like, fuck. I would have loved to have caught, you know, my first meter plus fish. And I remember that couple last weeks I just dug deeper and went back to fishing on the river. And that's when I first caught my first proper giant off top water. And then it just felt like this adrenaline rush that I've never had before. So, you know, that top water eat, it's nothing like anything else. Sort of like a GT, how people can't compare them to anything else in blue water. So, yeah, I think the Australian heritage and how special they are in terms of how hard they are to catch. I think they're probably the most two things that draw me to them. Yeah,
I think so. They're probably one of Australia's most like iconic.
Has to be,
fish.
hey.
Apart from like probably Barra, just because of how it's.
Yeah, but you can get Barra in PNG, can't you?
You definitely can. You can get them overseas and stuff, which makes it not a kind of diluted. But I think like they're the southern pinnacle of Australian sports fish.
Without a doubt.
Definitely. And they're just so, because they're endemic, they're beautiful, they're big fish in small systems. Like you can
Great to photograph, man.
Man, beautiful.
Yeah.
I reckon the smaller ones are pretty. Like
they got sick colours.
75s, 80s and stuff. Yeah. Just quickly, Kyle, can we just check the batteries on that other camera? Just because I'm not sure. Yeah. This is the first podcast that's gone over 2 hours on... Oh, I still got heaps. So this is the first one that we've done that's gone over 2 hours. So I was like,
fuck, I'm talking too much.
I just wanted to double check because this is such a good yarn. I'd hate for it to shit the bed.
Yeah.
So, and they're like, they just photograph so well, and they're big fish in small systems. Like those guys that do a lot of in New South Wales and all that granite country and stuff, and they do all that
amazing
frogging.
Backdrop, man.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
They got a special place in my heart because I grew up chasing them too, I guess. Have you got any significant, like any special moments that are like embedded in your memory? Doesn't even have to be a big fish.
Good question. Oh, yes, I do. So this one's actually on footage. No one's seen the footage. I've actually got video footage of me and my missus. I used to break her balls and say, come fishing, you know what I mean? Like, we'll go, you know, I'll try and get you a fish on the lure. And she's like, no. And then one day she's like, yeah, I'll come. All right. So we went and, you know, trying to get her up like, you know, 4 a.m. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Go there, hit a kangaroo on the way. Oh, is the kangaroo dead? Nah, it's all right. It's all good. Right. Anyway, so we get there. And the time we put the boat in and it's like the sun's coming up, I'm like, oh, fuck, we should have been on the water by now. But anyway, we get there and we're fishing and sun's up and we haven't seen shit. And we come around this bend and it's on. I've actually got GoPro footage. I'll actually show you. And you can hear the footage. I'm like, fuck, we're going to bang one here. and I've put this cast in and I've gotten snagged on a hard body. And I'm like, fuck. And then I said to her, I'm like, oh, put one in there. Man, buy my new bait caster. She fucking lines this cast up and it's like 10 out of 10. It's in the honey hole, right? And she's just sitting there and she's fucking reeling it in. And then she gets fucking smacked, right? She gets smacked, man, at the other end of the boat. Mind you, the tinny's like the most unstable thing I've got, right? And she's reeling this fish in. She falls back on her ass and she's holding the rod and she's reeling it in. As she's doing that, my GoPro's still sort of captured on her because as she's falling on her ass, I've gone there to grab her and grab the rod as well. This cod would have been about 65, 70 centimetres. This other big cod comes up behind it. Then another big one comes up. There's actually 3 cod in the one frame trying to eat her cod that she'd hooked. And I'm fucking freaking like, there's another one. Trying to reel it in. Anyway, get this fish in. And the moral of the story is out of all the 3 fish, we caught the fucking smallest one.
Every time.
But to your point, most memorable. And I've got it on GoPro still. I haven't shared it and had no one seen it other than me and her.
That's incredible.
I'll have to show you one day. It's
I
good
definitely
footage.
want to see
I reckon
that.
if I put it on YouTube or on Instagram, it'd get a few views because it's actually funny.
It'd go nuts.
Oh, I reckon it would. Yeah. Like she falls on her ass and she's like, help me. And I'm helping her. But I'm sort of like, I didn't give a fuck you're on your ass. Give me the rod because you've hooked the fish, you know? So, yeah, that there's probably the most memorable, man. But even though it wasn't the biggest fish, it was the most memorable as in funny. So
And they're the ones that stick with you.
Yeah.
Are you excited for your kids to get a bit older and start fishing and stuff with you? Do you like it?
the young bloke's only 3. The other one's only 6 months. So he's still got a long way to go. But the one that's 3, I'm planning to take him out now this summer. So I'll probably start just bait fishing. Plan to probably go to the river bait fish. I love bait fishing, man.
Same, man.
Oh,
People
man.
shit on it. There's literally backing up to a snag and
How
throwing
good is
liveys
it?
out for barra.
Yeah.
Or going back.
Have a beer.
Yeah.
You know, just sit there.
Little paternoster rig, a shrimp, a worm, and jigging yellow belly and timber. Like,
and you're getting anticipated.
remember, like fishing off the bank, you'd put your rod in the rod holder and put the bell on it.
Yep.
On the rod
Ding,
tip.
ding, 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 yeah.
Run down there.
Love it. It's funny because that's what I plan to do with him more. I'll start bait. We'll do a bit of vertical jigging for yellow belly. We'll do bits and pieces like that. And then I think we'll get to a point where if he loves it, which I think he will, because I can already see that he's in the backyard casting a 6-foot rod, man, with spin reel. And it's funny, this morning he's came out and he's like, "Oh, Dad, give me the rod." And I just tied a small hard body on it with no hooks. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, naturally you're going to open up. Mate, he goes the other way and he does a backhander. And he fucking annihilates it like 15 metres. And I thought, far out. For 3 years old, he's doing all right, you know? Little weapon. So I think he'll love it. It's just a matter of growing him into it to the point where he doesn't get sucked in to just believe it's all about results. I think that's where I'm going to do.
And that's the culture. And you literally reminded me of what you said earlier about you want your boy to start old school fishing for cod and all that sort of stuff. Because I think you've got an obligation as a parent to give your kid the option to choose. You can't force 100%. Them down. I don't think my belief is I don't think you should force them down a path.
No.
I think you should give them as many options as possible.
Yep.
And that you should explain to them the pros and cons of each option you want to take.
Yep.
And you make the decision and you choose that path, but you also live by the decision that you made and you take responsibility for what happens.
100%. And
no matter what happens, I'll have you back.
Yes.
You make a bad decision and you fuck up, I'll catch you and I'll help.
I'll be the first
help.
one to look after you. Backyard. Because I think you're spot on. As a parent, what you should, and this is only me speaking from what I believe as a father, is that your job is to teach your kids morals, respect, all the foundations of being a good person. Mm-hmm. On top of that, then your job is then to say, okay, what do you want to do? I'll provide as many resources as I can to assist you to find what you want to do. I'm not going to give it to you on a platter, but if you said to me, hey, Dad, I want to start carpentry. At 17, 18 years of age, you might know people in the carpentry business. So you might assist them by saying, hey, I know this guy, go talk to him. You're there to guide.
I'll get you a job. I'll buy you tools.
That's exactly right.
Because that's investment in your kid, right?
100%, man.
It's not like giving them money. Like, I'll buy you tools.
Yeah.
But they're no
that
good
tool
to you if you
makes
don't
you
use
money.
them. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The tools are no good to you unless you use them.
Correct.
And like I've made a lot of mistakes in life past, all that sort of stuff. And I don't want my daughter to make those mistakes.
100%.
So I have a moral obligation to teach her, to give her the options and say, like, and I intend to, when she's old enough to understand, I'm going to sit her down and say, like, tell her my story.
Yeah.
And where I think I went wrong.
And where you
why
think
I
it
went
could be
wrong.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Because nobody's perfect. And
No.
you don't realise that you're wrong when you're doing the wrong thing.
100%.
You realise after the fact. And it's, again, acknowledging the fact that you did that and taking accountability and then trying to improve from that point. And it's hard.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff is like extremely difficult, mentally taxing, but you have an obligation when you've got family to be the best version of yourself.
Correct.
And to make sure that your kids are better than you, are better off
Without a
than you.
doubt. Because if my son comes home and I know he bullied someone, I failed as a parent. I need to then take responsibility for that. Not him at 12 years old, 8 years old. Me. My job is that, like I said to you earlier on before, what is it when you become a man, when you become accountable? So if he's fucking around and bullying people, you're not accountable. You're the opposite to that. So I haven't done the right job. Not my kid, because your kid is a kid. He's learning.
They don't know.
They don't know. Exactly right. Will they
And
get
they're brutal, man.
Oh, fuck. How old's your daughter?
2.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So I'm 3 and 6 months.
She's still there. She hurts
Same.
my feelings now.
Oh,
with
she'll
some
tell you
shit
as
she
it
says.
is. Bloody oath. My son's the same, man. Doesn't hold back. Loves his mother because, unfortunately, as I believe this anyway, and people can think differently, I have this conversation with John quite a lot because he's just got a young daughter as well. Like we say, what position do you play? And I say to him, I believe this is where I sit as a father and this is my responsibilities. And he agrees with what I say, and I agree with what he says. And as really close mates, we have the same beliefs. You wouldn't be close with somebody that didn't have the same beliefs as you.
No way.
You get attracted to similar people in that sense. So I think as a father, you have to sort of say to yourself, where can you get better? Because your daughter and my sons are only they're only a visual mini you. That's all they are.
Yeah.
That's
And
all they are.
You are the people that they see the most.
100%. Like I'll give you an example. See this hat? I gave one to my son when I got him done. He seen me wore this hat when I left the house today and we all got in the car together. He was wearing the same hat. He wanted to be like his dad. I'm proud of that. I'm happy for that. But that was enough to show me that, hey, this kid looks up to me more than what I think.
I have a responsibility.
I have responsibility. I have accountability. If I'm not accountable for this kid, no one else is. If he ends up going backwards, that's my problem. If he ends up going forwards, that's my reward. That's life, good and bad. Good hand, bad hand, like you said before, which one do you want to be? So we'll never get it right as father to father, but we'll do our best job.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And it's just about, and accountability, it's easy to blame outwards and it's easy to blame teachers and it's easy to
100%,
blame
man.
the politics and it's easy to blame money and jobs and whatever else.
Fucking my kid's perfect. Fuck, no kid's
No,
perfect.
no, they're all assholes.
They fucking know how to throw a good tantrum, I'll tell you
Bro.
that much.
Man, I've never seen such emotion thrown around a room. And like the ability to just cut you at the knees, like,
Yeah.
give you a hug and then just like fully offend you.
Do you have inspiration to have more kids? It's probably a deep question.
I would say probably not. I don't think I'm not saying I'm not father material is probably not the right choice of words, but the life I live,
It wouldn't be fair.
it's hard.
Yeah.
It is hard enough as it is, and it's hard enough for my daughter as it is.
Yeah.
Let alone everything else that's gone on in my life. To be able to do that, it would be wrong of me.
To make that decision.
I would love to. I love kids, to be clear. Like, I love kids. I love other people's kids. I love having them around. They're so much fun, and I really, really enjoy them. I just don't think it's the right time for me to do it justice and to do it properly.
And that's
do it well.
accountability.
And that's what it is. And it's hard. And it's super hard for me to be away from my daughter a lot.
Challenging.
Super challenging.
Like I said to you before, man, I don't know how you do all the traveling.
It's hard.
I'll be honest with you. Like that, I find traveling hard personally, but I know what's got to be done to be done. So I take my hat off to you for that.
Yeah, it costs a lot, and not money. It costs a lot, man.
Time, man. You can't buy time. You know what I mean?
It costs a lot.
You'd be away from your daughter for a period of time where you can't put a price on that. And a lot of people don't understand that.
And I feel, I was literally talking about this the other day too, is like I feel non-stop infinitely guilty all of the time. Every single second of every single day.
I can understand that because I've experienced that too with my kids. When I go fishing, I sort of say to myself, in the winter I go hard. And I say to myself, maybe I should be there for them more. But, that's, like I said, it's hard.
I fight these demons every single
day, man.
Every single day. Because I'm faced with choices. I can continue, like I said earlier, I can stop this business and I can go do a 9-to-5 job, and then I can be a miserable sack of shit and hate myself. And then that goes, I don't show my kids anything. I don't.
Where's the value?
I'm not a good dad. I'm not a good person. I'm miserable and I'm unhappy. That unhappiness breeds toxicity in all my relationships, friendships, family, all that sort of stuff.
All go to shit.
So I can choose that path, which is the easy path for me to take. It's just been all this, spend every waking minute with my daughter. And don't get me wrong, it would be awesome to see her every day and spend all the weekends, all that sort of stuff. But deep down, I would hate the position I was in. And that I don't live up to my true potential because, and it sounds selfish, but I've got one life too.
100%.
And I want to bring my daughter along with me, and I want her to get old enough, and then she can make her own decisions and she can have her own life too. And then we live cohesively and doing our own thing together.
Yeah.
In parallel. But I feel incredibly guilty every single second of every single day. And I have to I fight with myself every single day. So when people come to me and say, you're so lucky, you do so much cool shit, all this sort of stuff, and you meet crazy people and all of it's all amazing. The reality is it's equally as difficult. Yeah, there's all this good, but what I do is extremely hard, extremely hard. And I have moments, man, where I like can't physically breathe. Like I have to just stop and I have to go and like just
reset.
Yeah, I have to because I'm busted. I'll have like my biggest fan was my dad, and I can't, like I used to go to him for everything. He's taken stuff to the grave that he knows about me that nobody else does. And there's some days that I just wish I had just 10 minutes just to sit and just vent. Because if I do that with anybody else, it changes absolutely nothing. I don't open up to anyone about anything really. This is probably one of the deepest conversations I've ever had. And it's not even deep because I haven't contextualized anything. But with my dad gone, I don't have that person, and I don't get any value from having that conversation with anybody else. So I'd rather just say nothing. Yeah. And get on with it.
That's exactly how I am, because it adds no value. And it's not that the value is everything. It's just you're that unselfish. You wouldn't waste anyone else's time.
And it doesn't make me feel any better.
That's what I'm saying.
Me talking about it or me internalizing it makes no fucking difference.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you don't add value to it. So what you do as a high individual that likes to do things at 100% no different to myself, you say to yourself, well, if I talk to X, it's not going to help me. So why would I waste your time? You know what I mean? Don't mistaken that with, he's just, doesn't open up and, he doesn't keep shit to himself. Don't mistaken that with that. That's just how he is as a person. That's who you are. That's how you express yourself. And that's normal.
Yeah, and do you find people confide in you as well? Like you have a lot of people that are struggling or going through shit that they do reach out?
Yeah.
And they try and talk to you
100%.
as someone.
I did with Bowel Cancer Australia. I did fundraising and we still do for years upon years upon years. Like the first year I got up and spoke in front of 1,100 people in a room. Not many people can get up and speak in front of 1,100 people. I couldn't give a fuck, straight up. Like, what's the difference? I don't, if it's one or 10,000.
What have you got to lose?
What have I got to lose? I got, so, doing that to then here, where I am today, I've helped a lot of people. But,
I've done the same this year with I've helped a lot of friends the last couple of years, helped a lot of friends through a lot of hardships and stuff. And I haven't told them boo about what I'm going through or what I've been through or what I'm doing or none of that, because they asked for my help. And it's wrong of me to then burden them with my burdens just to have similarity with their problems.
Yeah.
But then I equally feel guilty because I'm like, well, you're coming to me. as if I've got everything sorted and I'm no better off than anybody else.
No, but I will say another thing, Wade, here is it goes back to the saying where they say 100 people go to war, 90 are making the numbers up, 9 are there that will do half a good job, but there's one fucking warrior that is actually meant to be there. I'm not being rude, I'm not being arrogant, but you're probably that one.
Maybe.
Where I'm
feel
saying,
like one.
no, but like what I'm saying is that you don't need to lean on people.
I definitely don't.
Yeah. And what's wrong with that? If you look back in time, when you look at Hercules, you look at these people, these characters written in history books, they never lent on anybody.
Because there's no one at their level. I'm not saying I'm higher than anybody, but there's no one that gets it.
That's what I'm saying, is what's wrong with that? Why do people look at that and go, fuck, that's wrong, you should talk, or, yeah, you should. I'm sure you would open up to somebody someday, but it's just, like you just said now, it's probably the deepest conversation I've had in a long time.
Yeah, because I'm talking to someone that gets it.
Correct.
It's someone that understands.
Yeah.
But equally as much, I don't need to sit there and reach out to you when I'm having a bad day.
Correct.
And equally as much as I know you could listen and you'd probably add value to the conversation, but I don't need it. And the same is if it was on the other foot.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird situation to be in, and I find I constantly battle and juggle because there's pros and cons of each direction you take with it, and how you deal with it yourself.
Like I've been in instances where it's like I'd go to the cemetery and see my brother, have a hard half an hour. My old man will rock up. We'll sit there together and have a harder half an hour together, but then we'll leave the cemetery like nothing ever happened. Yeah. That's just how he brought me up, and that's how I've been raised, is that's chapters closed. You got to move on, and whatever's happened, put it behind you. Now, that's not building the closet up. That's not putting demons in there, because that's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I just know how to go. Switch.
Get on with it.
Get on with it.
Because you can't bring that person back from the dead.
No.
And sitting and crying all your life is not going to change
Correct.
shit. And
but like my mother says, Christian, life moves on, you got to move on, right? Whether that be you live in Shepparton or live in Darwin or live in Perth or live wherever you have to live, life moves on. If that means that you don't have to talk to this person or you want to talk to that person, life just continually moves. And if you're not prepared to move, you'll become stagnant and you'll become an issue.
And ever thinking life is easy and ever thinking life is going to be easy is not the case.
Not the case, man.
No amount of money, no amount of friends.
Man,
no lack of friends.
I know people have said this 100 times. I see people with the most amount of money and
miserable.
They got fucking miserable, man. Miserable. And I'm not fucking talking shit here. Like if you said to me, show me these people, I can show you one. Legit, right? With a lot of fucking money. I'm not bagging them out. I'm just taking my observation. Because I know people that, and I'm not saying that money means nothing, because money makes life easier, don't get me wrong, right? But if you said to me, do you need all the money or do you need enough money, like we said about before, to be happy? I think enough's the answer.
Enough to not have to think about money. It's just a
Correct.
necessary evil to...
Enough not to be in the system, brother. Like, if you don't have to rely on a bank, you don't have to rely on the government, you don't have to rely on any of these external factors that control and manipulate your life, trust me, you're doing fucking well. And that should be a goal for every Australian. Don't put your hands in the government. Don't put your hands in people that can control your life. You want to be the opposite. And that means having a strategic plan, have a strategic plan. But don't allow people to control your life from the outside is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and winning at life and succeeding is being true to yourself and being comfortable
100%.
with who you are. And everyone's like, I'm not there yet. I don't think I'll ever get there, but I'm going to work towards that. And accepting life is hard and learning from your decisions. I don't think there's any right way of doing it or anything. Life's just fucking hard, man.
I've fucked up multiple times.
Heaps.
I can guarantee you fucked up multiple times. We all fuck up. You learn from it. You know what I mean? Makes you a better person. If you're not prepared to fail, like we said before, you're going to have a hard life. Because I'll tell you right now, you'll die of anxiety or depression before you fail. I can guarantee that right now. Because that's what you just fail every day.
And the generations are getting weaker and weaker, I think. I think people 100%. Are getting weaker and weaker because they have so much opportunity to run away from things and hide from things and whinge about things and play victim mentality.
100%.
And the victim mentality doesn't get you anywhere.
No.
Because you still made decisions to put yourself in that position to get fucked.
Without doubt.
You have accountability in that scenario just as much as the person who fucked you.
Yeah, correct. You were vulnerable. And when you make yourself vulnerable, guess what? Like you just said, you'll get fucked one way or another.
Yeah.
So you've got to ask yourself, You know, where if I make that decision to get from A to B, weigh it up. Don't worry about if you're going to get it right or wrong. Think about what could go wrong and what could go right. That's how I look at it. Not worried about if it's going to work out or not, because I need to make a justified decision of, if it works, it will go this way. If it doesn't work, it'll go that way. What's the chances? Well, you think this, but it's not always going to work. But I'm prepared to take the risk. And you take the risk, you move on. It will either pay off or it won't pay off, you know. So
business and life are the same.
They are. Yeah. We just make a complicated way. I'm telling you, man. That's all we do.
Yep.
We make it complicated. We think that they're meant to be difficult. We think they're meant to be harder than one or the other. It's the same shit. It's literally the same shit. One's monetized and one's not. That's all it is. Whatever decision you make at work can reflect, you know, where your company, every aspect of your life. Mate, you could run your company on a $10 million turnover, but run it with 5 people compared to 50 people. I guarantee you with 50 people, you're going to have more headaches from a complaining perspective, but I guarantee you with 5 people, you will have less complaints, but you'll be fucking running around more.
I just want 5 diehards, man.
That's it.
That are willing to go as hard as me. And that's like, I don't know if it's 5, but like I don't want many.
Yeah.
I don't want.
My advice would be have less.
Yeah, I don't want a firm.
Yeah.
I don't want squeens. I want to know every person's name. I want to know their kids. I want to know their pet dog. I want to know what car they drive. I want to take them out to dinner.
You want to know the value in that person.
Yeah. I want to know real people. Yeah. I don't want names. I don't want resumes.
You want to be able to pull up and say, hey, man, let's have a coffee. What's going on? Yeah, I've got a problem. What can I help with?
I'm on the same level as everybody else.
That's it.
I can have any conversation with anyone. You can talk shit. And the boys and stuff always get at me about like, we need HR.
Yeah.
Because we're just like mates filming together.
Yeah.
And like, I'd never treat it like, I think they know when I ask for something, like I'm saying I want it. Like it's like I still call the shots at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I still allow them to make all their own decisions and all that sort of stuff. And we still talk shit and have a fat time and all that sort of stuff and try and make it fun, talk a bit of crap about each other. And like the moment it becomes more clinical and job-like is when I'll be going like, hang on, we're on the wrong path.
You create the wrong environment.
Pull it back.
Yeah.
Because I might as well stay where I was doing corporate executive management shit.
Yep. And you'll fall into a job that and a company you have created that you hate.
Yeah. And I
that's
don't
not
want
what
that.
you want. Yeah. Because then you'll count down every day.
Yeah.
And you don't want to go down that pathway, man.
Definitely do not.
You know.
How's 3 hours?
Mate, no, it's been good, man. I appreciate it. Like, it's been really good chat. It's been very deep, but I don't mind it.
I knew it was going to go down this road because you and I align a lot on how we see life and business, and we're both like fish heads and all that sort of stuff too. So I knew it was going to go down this path, and you've been on my list to talk to for ages.
Nah, I appreciate it.
And it won't be the last one, I'm sure.
Nah, well, I will say this. Next time we'll tee it up. We'll get dinner and that after it, and we'll fucking have a good sesh. Yeah, talk more.
Sounds good.
I appreciate it, brother.
I really appreciate you making the hour-long effort to come here and have a yarn too.
That's easy. Light work. You fucking flew all the way from where? Fuck me. That's. But in saying that, I've got to come up.
You do.
Yeah,
you are welcome anytime, my friend.
So I'm definitely keen to come up. I know I'll definitely go up next year and do Barra. And then hopefully, come up your way a bit more, do a bit more Barra, and then maybe do a hunt or...
Yeah, reach out, man. My bed and my boat is at your disposal.
Done. Good, man. Sure. I appreciate it, brother.
Too easy. Thanks heaps for your time, man.
No worries. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.